complicated, but something which is doable, simple, but highly impactful. We will be covering in this 2 hours a power-packed session where you'll be meeting the top doctors. You'll be meeting naturopaths. You'll be meeting yogacharyas, all who have solutions to reducing the risk factor. So therefore, in this 2-hour conclave, we will be going from identifying the risks to giving practical solutions to mitigate or reduce the risk. So it's an end-to-end conclave. It started yesterday. We had a great turnout. In fact, 70% of people stayed throughout the 2 hours, which is remarkable for a subject which is considered very heavy. We had great feedback, and we continue today as part 2, where we'll be talking about first diagnostics, AI, which is artificial intelligence. We'll be talking about nutrition. We'll be talking about naturopathy and Ayurveda. And we'll be also talking about breathing as a technique for reducing the risk, breathing and yoga together. So this conclave is designed to give you the reality check about what's happening. And the reality is cancer is rising very, very rapidly all over the world. And it's not unusual to find within your family and within your social circle at least 2 patients who have been diagnosed with cancer. But the reality is that cancer doesn't happen in a day. Of course, the signs and symptoms are discovered and it seems sudden, but cancer has been living in the body, or the small cells have started living many years before you get the signs and symptoms. And this is important because if you know the risk factors, then you can protect your life and protect the lives of your family members, your friends. So as we begin the conclave today, like I said, we have a lineup of the best doctors in the country. And Priyanka, can you put up the first slide? The intro slide. Yes, Priyanka. Yes, thank you. Yes, the next, yes. So we begin this conclave by a session by a dear friend and one of the top oncopathologists in the country. Dr. Ravi Gaur is the chairman of the Medical Advisory Committee, Onquist Labs. And he's also the founder and director of DRG Path Labs. He has over 3 decades of experience in the field of pathology, and he has specialized in oncopathology. But in his heart, he is a die-hard preventive healthcare person. And at every forum, I have seen that he talks about how to use diagnostics as a tool for health. So over to you, Dr. Gaur. It's a pleasure to invite you today.
Thank you, Dr. Shikha. Good morning, everyone. I think it's my pleasure to be this is something, innovative thought process. I think we all talk about, treating the disease. We talk about preventive, and we just talk about one aspect, whatever is happening in our body, what is the like biomarkers, but we don't talk about it comprehensively. And that's where the future is, because it's not only cancer is something which we feel is like, it's not about detection. It's also about prediction, prevention, and precision care, and probably a comprehensive care. So I think thank you so much for putting across this forum, which was I think yesterday we had some great sessions, and it's always pleasure to, you always come out with nice, innovative thoughts, and I think that's the future. Thanks again. I have my I think presentation which has been uploaded. Kalika, is it there with you?
Sure, sir. I'll just display it.
Yeah. So what we're doing today, probably like there is today is like cancer is day by day. If you look at the numbers, every time whatever we are doing, uh, you can just make enable editing and move on. So that's something which is like the numbers are irrespective of what everything is every time is going up and going up and going up. So there are a lot of multiple factors probably which could be beyond they're not understood yet, but still a lot of the study, the science is going on. But we are close to like probably identifying what exactly the clause is. If you all of you must remember, you must have read a book from Siddharth Mukherjee, The Cancer, the Emperor of Melodies, all melodies. Now that's where I feel that it's supposed to be that the worst disease somebody gets in, so too much of uncertainty. But the fact is like no, today the emperor is I think no more an emperor. Raja nahi hai. This has to come down. A lot of science, a lot of advancement has happened, and I think though with that we are now probably almost like reaching the cure or maybe reaching the uh, can say at least the basic cause. And I think probably the comprehensive approach is the answer to understand, to prevent, predict, or even to cure, or at least have a better quality of life. So with this, I'll probably start my to the presentation. That's something overview of cancer diagnosis, how it was, what we are doing today, and what's the future is take. From routine to artificial intelligence, this transformation of cancer diagnostic, that's something we'll be talking about. Now, if you look at this topic, it was a whole webinar or session series had been designed. The holistic perspective of cancer is a disease of imbalance. It's not just a disease; it's a systemic disruption. It's like, and it's many battles happening in one front because we don't know the tumor cells which way they want to behave. So we just don't fight the tumor; we fight very uncertainty, and that's the fundamental thing when we are talking about the cancer. So it was multiple parts. I think we can say that like when you have to address versus diagnostic is the most important. The first one, early detection. Not only the early detection, probably relapse further on, and predictive. How does it predict the genomics? And then even before, even the cancer is actually established a tumor or 3 millimeter mass has come up in the body. How do you predict that? The treatment, we're talking about, this is where diagnostic also helps in personalized therapies and AI-driven precision medicine today. I will talk about it as we move forward. Then, of course, other two components are very equally important today. They're becoming day by day relevant because mental health is managing stress, fear, and resilience in patients and families. You heard in a couple of sessions yesterday. Many of the patients we have seen that they go for a first line of treatment, and after that they don't go back to treatment because of fear. They don't know what's going to happen next. So probably the strength has to build up. I think mental health is going to play a very, very important role when it comes to treating the diagnosis. And how do you diagnose that? I think that's a bigger challenge. But I think there are experts out there. They will be able to handle that. Nutrition, I always say, because I think as I totally agree with what Shika says, that food is medicine. Because whatever you eat, ultimately, that's what it is. The whole cells are going to respond as per that. So the various aspects of the imbalance had to be addressed in nutrition. Next, please. Then we have the full lifestyle. Everybody knows better healthy you are, preventive habits, and next on emotional and support system. Very very important because I think not only for you because you have to live in a hope, and hope gives you strength, and strength is cure ultimately and better quality of life. So with this, I think I move on to like actually by focusing on cancer diagnosis. Now, cancer diagnosis is something like a routine pathology. Today we do which is what is how it evolved from a routine pathology to a molecular signatures. Now we are doing DNA, RNA, what exactly inside? Now, static imaging, which was like a small X-ray was being done, but today the real-time AI-assisted insights are being there. We have real-time it's CT scan, you can say PET scan, how the dye is flowing, how the molecules are happening. All this is already happening today. Now, from waiting for symptoms, that's important. Before a symptom are like maybe what is the symptom of cancer? Probably it could be unknown. They can say a sudden loss of weight, and the fever which has not been addressed by any other cause, or it could be even like a small nodule which has come. So before the symptoms, waiting for symptom, proactively predicting cancer before it manifests. Let me give you a small example here today. There's something called we'll talk about that move forward, but something called circulating tumor cells. A tumor of 3 millimeter in our body to be formed, it requires 230 million cancer cells in circulation. Now, if you can detect these 230 million cells before a nodule is formed, you're almost reached what you want. You can cure it very well. Probably you can kill them before the cancer nodule is formed, because that's a 3 millimeter is a nodule which can detectable imaging. Not smaller than that is difficult to make. So that's where we're talking about molecular signatures and everything we talk, circulating tumor cells and cell-free DNA. That's a new era. Now, shifting the thought processes from reaction to prediction, from treatment to prevention, and ultimately, what is the uncertainty, how the tumor will behave, probably the full clarity. I think that's the cancer diagnosis. Diagnosis is entirely covering all these factors. Next slide. Now, blood test is like you can say like a weather forecast, like typically, what is a blood? Weather app tells you like the storm coming. It doesn't stop the storm, but it helps you prepare. At least you're prepared. Same thing like a blood test. A blood test like PSA for prostate cancer or CA-125 for ovarian cancer gives you a forecast. It's not always 100% accurate, but it helps doctor to investigate further. Gives you indication that this is something which is now you're heading for. At least what I'm again what a cautious here for the tumor marker. I think I'll go back to the next slide. We have this thing that move on. Next slide. Now, on another thing, in diagnostic, we use a radiology. Now, one was the blood test, second radiology. Radiology is like imaging, CT, MRI. Now, this is in a layman language. It's like what do you do in radiology? Google map of the body. As you use Google Maps to see traffic or a roadblock ahead, that's what you see. Same thing radiology does. CT scan, MRIs, PET scan show doctors the location, size, spread of the tumor, just like a map give you the big picture. That's the radiology's role in diagnostics in cancer. Next slide, please. Now, histopathology and biopsy. I think no diagnosis happens with the tissue biopsy. Now, or the blood test, bone marrows, or if it is a tissue or a solid tumor, or it's a blood cancer, it's a bone marrow and the blood cell. So biopsy is what? It's like a testing a sample dish in a restaurant. If you can understand, if you want to know if the whole dish is good, the khana apne banaya, you just take one spoon. Oh, very nice. That is exactly what we do. Doctor take a small sample to understand what's going on in the body. One sample is taken from the tissue and you understand. So one small sample can reveal the entire story of a tumor, its components, what its type, aggression, and treatment needs. That's what we do it in a histopathology, cytology, immunohistochemistry, which evolved and day by day. Now, what's molecular testing? So this is another area in diagnostic we talk about. Molecular testing is like reading a book's DNA, for that matter. I mean, like if you're doing a proofreading of a book, probably you go by typing errors, small and small. You can have a title, you can have an abstract, you can understand the summary. But if you do a small proofreading, you might find small mistakes here, small mistakes here. And that's the thing called molecular testing role. Molecular diagnostics, like using next-gen sequencing, need cancer cells to detect mutation. Because ultimately cancer is what? Cancer is one of the normal cells which keep replicating because of repair in the body, which is a continuous phenomena. It keeps repairing. So it replicates the same way what it was. But when it replicates and makes a little abnormal, deviates from the path, and that's what the mutation is. So sequencing and the molecular diagnostic is understanding those mutations and which is genes were mutated, and that identify them. And that's a very important part of the cancer diagnosis today. And diagnostics are probably that's the way we all define today personalized medicine, precision medicine, AI roles come into play. Next slide, please. Now, based on that, we have got targeted therapies. So targeted therapies, targeted diagnostic, another terminology we use is like in the barcode. If you look at the barcode, if you go to any shop, it's just read. Barcode has got everything into about it. Price, manufacturer, expiry. Similar thing, the targeted specific cancer types, like, breast cancer. We have ER, PR, and HER2 positive. Now, if it's like ER, PR, and HER2, all three positive, or all three negative, or ER, PR, positive, HER2 negative, now that gives you indication. Now, that's again by various methodologies and combination, immunohistochemistry, or maybe molecular. You can give you an indication. This is the type of cancer. Accordingly, this is how to behave, how we're going to come back again, what kind of a medication we should be given. So diagnostic is being used to define a health clinician for creating a target-based therapies today. And that's why chemotherapy is become much simpler and easier today, because it's more like a day care procedure. Next slide. Now, new terminology, what you're also using must be, I'm sure many of you must have heard, what is liquid biopsy. I'm going to put across. Now, liquid biopsy, now, if you can, probably sometime you can take a tissue, maybe from a like tumor, which is say in the GI tract, you do endoscopy, or a prostate biopsy, or a breast lump biopsy. But when you have a tumor which you have not been able to reach, like in a brain somewhere deep seated, maybe in the lungs, we don't know, because somewhere here and there, just behind the heart, you can't approach. You can't remove the organ because surgery is difficult. In that situation, you probably take a sample of the blood. Now that this is a new evolving technology. Like, it's still in the, not for everything, but it's like lung cancer we've been using, specific type of lung cancer, neurology, brain cancer tumors we're using, for GI cancer we're using. It's nothing like, what example the layman's, because it's something like if you are wearing a shirt or something, a thread falls on the floor. Now, what do you know? You can't get the shirt, because from the fabric you can understand what exactly the whole shirt, the DNA looks like, what it could have been. The same thing, liquid biopsy finds the traces of cancer, DNA in the blood, and tells doctor about the cancer without even touching the tumor. So today, it's been many of the time, I'm sure that the future is probably very bright about it. A lot of studies are being done, and we're using liquid biopsy for certain tumors which are not behaving, we not understandable or not approachable biopsy. Simple blood sample we can take and we can identify. Or a tumor which has already been cured, or maybe it's treated, how to probably you can say the predict the whether the progress, because the tumor is already, therapy is done. How do you do every 1 year follow-up? The radiology or a PET scan, which is again have their own issues. Simple blood sample can say, okay, there are no more tumor cells into the body. So probably the liquid biopsy is going to be helped. And sooner or later, we hope it become a very preventive way of addressing the tumor. Now, ultimately, what is the best cancer diagnosis? Like a smoke detector at home. Simple. Like a smoke detector senses smoke before the fire spreads. Any best to say something which is like, if you, before the tumor has actually spread, is actually arrived. So this is something what the best diagnostics has to be. So today's best diagnostic is a combination of all. No, like if you wait to see flames before you leave the house, something like, pap smears or mammograms alert us before cancer causes visible damage. I think this is a lot preventive test, much in advance. You can do it on a regular basis. So before actual cancer, or maybe because there's always a change. Normal cell, slightly abnormal, little more abnormal, highly abnormal, and then it becomes a cancer cell. So probably slightly abnormal, you can identify that. Middle way, and maybe just turning, we can identify that. And this is the role of diagnostics we are seeing today. And that's really important role. Moving to the next slide, please. Now, let me come to what are the various predictive and genomic testing. What is predictive and genomic testing? Predictive is seeing cancer before it happens, like before they just predict, before actually on there. For decades, we have been talking about, like we talked about histopathology, molecular, biopsies, advanced stage. But today, we can reach, we are redefining the cancer. That's what the transformation in diagnostics happening. We can even detect years before the cancer develops, and allowing for preventive intervention, And I think like a BRCA test, a lot of people have, like, the family history of family breast cancers. There's no cancer as of today. But if you go to BRCA genetic studies, you will be able to probably identify that you are prone to the more risk as compared to the other members of the family or other people. So what you can do, you can plan your follow-up much better. You can plan your diet, you can plan, because obesity is another reason, hormone imbalance is another reason, and probably, of course, the alcohol and multi-healthy factors. All the measures you can take much in advance, and you prevent the cancers. And this is what predictive and genomic testing is playing a very, very important role. Next slide, please. Now, how it is using? It's not just, it's got three cups. Just go back, please. Now, AI-powered multi-parameter test, molecular profiling, and prediction. Now, AI is here something what we how because some we can probably do a profiling today. These are hundreds, say there are 100 genes today here. Out of that, three have mutated slightly. Now, with the artificial intelligence, we probably can replicate them faster. Or if they replicate 100 times, how will they behave? If they replicate 1,000 times, how will they behave? And when will they become a mutated cell or a cancer cell? Probably AI can predict. This is something like we do a clinical trial, right, using an artificial intelligence. And that's why it's very, very important tool today for any higher advanced diagnostics to have an AI inbuilt to them. Next slide, please. Now, that's something predictive in genomic. Now, these are some examples. Shift from late diagnosis to early diagnosis. I'm sure you have, like, yesterday we had Dr. Sethi talking about PENTUM, which is something, a promising biomarker blood test that identifies solid tumors. He explained in detail. It's like pan-tumor detection. You can detect many of the cancers before actually they have established their base in the body. They're like cells are here and there. You can identify from the debris, from the macrophages, we can talk about. PENTUM is one important test, which is like now available in the our country. Probably it's been available in the Western world for a while, but India also is available today. Lynch syndrome genetic panel will identify colorectal and endometrial carcinoma. Again, these are somatic genetic panels. We can identify predisposition. It's not like establish how close was the risk. Then we have something called Grail-Gallery test. This is again one of the in US. It's not yet available in India, but I think sooner it's going to be here. A groundbreaking. It's most important multi-cancer early detection. It can talk about 40 to 20 cancers using AI and cell-free DNA to identify cancers before symptoms appear. We have similar tests in India, but I think they're all in the validation process. I'm sure the future is bright. Maybe a couple of years from now, we will be able to use this like what we're using PENTUM today. Move on next, please. Yeah. Now, BRCA, again, I mentioned BRCA1 and BRCA2 mutation. This already available today everywhere. Predict breast and ovarian cancer. Today is being used for different purpose. It's not only it's used for the patients who has got a breast cancer, operated, treated, now to predict the relapse. Or maybe one breast has got a cancer. So will the other breast, what is likely the other breast also have the cancer? Or probably an associate, because breast cancer and ovarian cancers, associated risk of ovarian cancers, or BRCA is being used for them. But also hereditary in the family, someone, because breast cancers are proven to be, they have a very fairly strong hereditary predisposition. So once somebody has got a breast cancer, the family gets the breast cancer prediction, and that helps them to plan their life. These are all molecular and genomic based. Today we have like PENTUM is of course the flow cytometry and macrophages, cellular, but others. Then we have something, a new test which has come out, predomics. Predomics is metabolics, various metabolic blood parameters in the body. So much things happening in a metabolism. The cancer cells and normal cells, when they start traveling in our body, journey from one area to another, they probably have a different metabolic function. And they probably release various other parameters, like various elements of, you can say, electrolytes, or maybe various small signatures they leave behind. And you identify using that LCMS chromatography test. This test is also, shortly getting available in India. It is being done at trial and R&D, but it is available today. This is a much better because it's basically the blood test, and it's probably helped a lot, likely to become a more of a screening tool, much easier, much affordable, because technology is very, very simple. And of course, we all know, we all talk about Janam Patris, but we don't know about something called Genome Patri. It's been there for a while, and whole genome sequencing, multiple cancer risk and lifestyle. Just give you risk score, 40% risk of this cancer, 20% of this cancer. But a word of caution here for all of us. Probably these are not to be taken in standalone, because if somebody tells you you are 80% risk of prostate cancer or 78% of oral cancer, probably stress will kill you. Probably you get more affected, probably you'll have more panic reaction. No, they have to be read in comprehensively, because there's a concerned well, understood well what are the lifestyle changes. So it also be had done under guidance of your counselor, under guidance of your doctor, and probably a holistic approach is required, because somebody gave you risk of prostate cancer. There's no cancer today, no treatment is required. Probably your lifestyle or your nutrition and counseling, maybe some precautions and regular checkup at frequent, clearly defined intervals that's required. Next, now, I think, these are the non-invasive steps, which actually gives the future. This is all, glimpse of the future. Now we are waiting. Now that's what empowers the patient. I think it's time now that gradually, many of these tests will become a part of a preventive screening test. And if somebody is at risk, is there always, you work in a special occupation and an environment where you have more risk to the cancers, the hereditary risk. Probably it's always advisable to go for these tests and plan your lifestyle accordingly. Next slide, please. Now, liquid biopsies, again, these are for, again, I mentioned to you, a simple blood test. Traditional tissue biopsies have been the gold standard, but I think they have their own limitations. Surgery has to be done, invasion has to be done. It may be, because you may have picked up a punch biopsy, the tumor may be maybe a 3 centimeter, but you picked up a someone edge corner, you're not getting the right representation from the tumor. So maybe diagnosis is not right. Blood, that was liquid biopsy, blood test. There are certain tests which are now available today in India, your Guardian 360 TDX and Foundation 1 liquid biopsy. And these are simple, very, very important. Why today they're being used for what? They're using for the cancer, which is probably, not responding. Probably it's not diagnosed which origin of the organ where it has come from. So, or maybe a undifferentiated carcinoma. So, or it's not responding to one line of treatment. So probably we take out the blood samples and the tissue if possible together and work on it, cell-free cell counts and with the molecular signatures and probably AI developed, and then a guided therapy can be defined. Second line of treatment, third line, fourth line, all this is today working on. Signatura, cell search, CTC, and these are the three important liquid biopsies. Now, one thing I'm going to, this exosome, because this is still not the it's still the very highly experimental, but I think probably future, like what is an exosome? Exosome is something when two cells communicate to each other, a message is passed, and this message is passed via the exosomes. And that's the message which is passed. So if you can identify the message, you can check what is the message, probably you're done. And this work is on, and I'm soon that probably become one of the sought after diagnostic as we move forward. Same thing, AI, digital pathology, like page AI, radiology kind of. Histopathology slides. You have a push slides under the microscope and digitalized slides, and I think AI can diagnose, oh, this is likely to be this kind of a carcinoma. It will help in screening, especially for cervical cancer and pap smears, where because it takes 1 month to at least 3 weeks, and many a time rural area or maybe tier 2 and tier 3 areas to get a right report. Probably, moment is specimen is taken, stain and put under the slide, you can probably come out with the report. This is at least non-malignant and malignant can be defined. And those are the tools which are available today based on AI and digital pathology. Next slide, please. Prognostic assays, I think prognosis means like, how the tumor is going to behave, relapse is going to come when. I think there are, again, multiple types. They all have oncotype, DX and mama print, especially for the breast cancers and the colonic cancers. And so if the cancer is likely to relapse early, probably chemotherapy decision can be taken. Maybe additional chemotherapy cycle can be given instead of 8 or 12, maybe 14 or 16 sometime, or maybe another gap after 4 months. So they'll define the therapy. These are all prognosis how the tumor to behave. Again, they're all tests which are again molecular and the AI based. Now we have a bioinformatics system, all entire sequencing is fed to that, and automatically it keeps working on and identify the actionable SNPs. Decipher is for prostate cancer prognostic test. The RNA-based analysis to predict metastasis response. We have multiple AI-powered pathology, Page AI, Tampers. IBM Watson Oncology came with the fanfare. Unfortunately, probably the study was not right. It currently is on on hold. But that's the reason I think all these tests need to be validated well before we take it into. It's not like health is something which is like nobody can compromise. If you do a testing in a hurry, probably validate it faster, you may end up with the wrong thing. This is what exactly happened to IBM Watson today, but I think they're working on. The clarity imaging, AI and MRI, I think AI-powered breast MRI for more accurate detection. It can actually tell you this is a calcification, there's a tumor part into it, or there's a non-malignant part. Next, please. Now, the future, I think, of cancer diagnosis, AI automation is beyond. I think this is again, this is the AI-driven automation. It's not like diagnostic is the fear people will say AI will replace the doctors. No, it's not like that. But I think AI become more of a second opinion, and probably the doctors together can, is augmented intelligence for them. So AI-based tumor imaging and detection. Today we have organoids and tumor on a chip. We can grow chips on the tumors and probably start working on them and help putting the drugs, how the cancer cells are behaving. And that's again the diagnostic plays a role. We have nanosensors. The future, like, and not only the blood samples, saliva, body fluids, breath, sweat, then all can be real-time, non-invasive cancer detection. And next, move on, please. Yeah. Now, key takeaways from this, what I'm going to talk about is like there's a multi-technology integration, AI-powered liquid biopsy, genomic sequencing, early detection, and precision. The diagnostic is now is the one, and AI is the one integrating everything together. They can use it for predictive and preventive approach. We have multiple tests which are now available. We are using for minimal residual disease. What is the disease which is left behind? Early radar, especially for more implies for leukemias and the blood cancer. Is there any cells are there? But this again, today it's available, which can be utilized. Digital pathology, I think this is a future which is coming up very, very fast, where probably the you can have the slides scanned, and I think after that AI gives you alert. This area probably looks like more malignant, probably look focus into more study more. Maybe a normal pathologist missed out the diagnosis, probably a variation in diagnosis. So AI becomes second opinion and guides you, which is again, especially in prostate cancers, cervical cancers, ovarian cancers, and immunohistochemistry for breast cancer is already practically being used. More are coming up, and that's probably a much better way to get a more precise, more definite diagnosis and arrive at the very personalized and precision treatment that will help cure. Next slide, please. Just move on from the next slide. Now, road ahead a call. I think what's important today is, I think, not only like is allow technology is not. I think what we need to do is expand the assist. Advanced diagnostic must reach every patient, not just privilege. That's a fundamental of healthcare. We need to have a quality, affordable, accessible, and quality driven. It has to reach the remote areas where tier 2, tier metro cities may be having, but I think time to make it happen there. Talk to about promote preventive testing. I think we already are well aware of that. Everybody be talking about preventive health. Even our Prime Minister talks about Ayushman Mondays where preventive checking is on. But I think it's time to take it very seriously. Let's put genetic and predictive testing should become part of a healthcare, which can define, because today in areas like Punjab and Batinda, there's a lot of cancer in the families. Why? Probably there may be a genetic change, or probably they're exposed to soil, or they have a lot of pesticides, multiple reasons. But if you can predict that this is a hot spot, probably whole area can be, so every population can have a genetic screening, and we can identify the hot spots and probably plan the healthcare of the community accordingly. But equally important is ensure ethics, data security. That's probably it goes without saying. Even I'd like to touch it. This, anything when you work on data, I think it's very well understood. It has to be understood. It has to be highly confidential. Next slide, please. So I'll just summarize, probably say cancer is not a disease, ultimately. When you see, I've just touched upon the diagnostic part, but if you look at this, there's multiple aspects from the DNA to RNA to necrotic cells, or everything from the lifestyle and where is the cause. The cancer is not just a disease, it's a battle against the unknown. I think if you know the fundamental. So it's like for a COVID, we know there's a COVID, we have the virus, which is the single, which can be identified. But cancer, it cannot. But it keeps, it evolves, it mutates, it spreads unpredictably and defies logic. We don't know which cell going to behave which way, which organ will attack, when will it attack, how will it attack. I think that's the reason it's important to address all angles. That means what I mentioned about diagnostics, treatment, mental health, nutrition, lifestyle, and emotional well-being is a fight holistically, attacking from all angles. Next slide, please. Just next slide, please. Yeah. So when whatever the area, what I found as a diagnostic person, I've been for almost like 30 years in handling cancer diagnostic. What we do is we give them a diagnosis, probably clinician give them a diagnosis, and after that they forget about public. Little bit of counseling here and there started, but I think we ignore this mind, emotion, stress. I think these are very, very important part. The body practices we had yesterday experts. I think more up in today talked about emotions. Somebody talked about emotions yesterday, depression, hopelessness, like immunity, everything has to be taken care of. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Now, that's something very, very important. I probably feel because it's like this is probably now coming up again. Diet, lifestyle, metabolism. These are the silent weapons again. Once you have predictive, you're more prone. How do you address? There's no treatment there. Probably the treatment is lies, diet, lifestyle, or other like parameters. These lifestyle strategies could be anti-cancer diets. I think Rukshika knows much. There are experts out there that I'll not be able to tell more about it. And then exercise and metabolic therapies, sleep well, probably have a body rhythm to be back. Otherwise, we have entirely disturbed body rhythm today. We're sleeping at 2 a.m. in the morning and getting up at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. I think that's not the way to probably work. Probably we have to get back to the rhythm and balance our body. Lot of toxin avoidance. I think yesterday we had one of the surgeons talking about, we're using all the tin stuff and all of the thing, processed foods, where shelf life is increased, but our shelf life is decreased. That's something which is so diet plays a very, very important role. And I think when you talk about the holistic approach to diagnosis of cancer and treatment of cancer, I think all have to be addressed in totality. Next slide. So what is the call for action? I think it's need a holistic approach, a multifaceted war against an unpredictable enemy. Today, still, it's an unpredictable cancer. We don't know which way cancers are going to behave. It's just not just a medical condition. I think it's a total challenge. We need doctors, scientists, psychologists, nutritional technologists. So I think it's time for collaborate. Let us define the future oncology together, and probably we'll be able to address this much better way than what we will be doing today. Not only for you, but the family, because I think the prevention is equally important. I think if you can prevent or detect early, you've done your bit to improve the quality and better for the healthcare. Next slide, please. That's the end. At the end of the day, cancer care is not just about technology I started with. It's about people. Future of cancer diagnostics is not in waiting. I think just this before symptom appears. It's in predicting, preventing, and acting with precision. That's the molecular prediction, genomics, preventing, lifestyle, all them together. I think that's the future. The synergy of molecular diagnostics, artificial intelligence, automation is transforming how we approach this disease. And it's already transformed a lot. Majority of the cancers are, unless not treated before molecular testing. Even now, the families are undergoing predictive testing, and they do take care of preventive holistic approach. However, our strategy must be holistic. That's most important part. It is not just about technology, equally also accessibility, affordability, and patient empowerment. What better could be than if you get the food as a medicine, your lifestyle is in your hand. If you can take care of that, probably you can afford it. It's accessible to you wherever you are, at whatever point of stage of life you are. With that, thank you so much. Let's work together to bring this future to every patient everywhere. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ravi Gaur. And like I said, that Dr. Ravi Gaur's expertise in diagnostics is amazing. And very, very early, he started moving into oncology when I think the world was not even thinking about oncology as a place which would, be required so deeply. So today, I think we are under-equipped, if I really say, in terms of the reaching out of the reach out. I mean, the technology has grown, but it has not reached the places where it has to reach. And I think your role to bring people together would be immense. Because one thing which I always say that whether it is heart or lung or cancer or any other organ, there is one department which links all of them, and that's diagnostics. That's the ultimate gold standard. Once the doctors need to know what to do. So thank you so much, Dr. Gore. And if you could stay on, we'll have some questions after the second session, after the next session. Now it's my privilege and an honor to invite from All India Institute of Ayurveda, Dr. Shiv Kumar Harti. Priyanka, can you put up the slide, please?
Sure, ma'am. Is it visible, ma'am?
Yes. Dr. Shiv Kumar Harti is an additional professor and in charge of the Information Technology Department of All India Institute of Ayurveda. He's an MD in Ayurveda and a PhD. And today he'll be talking about Ayurveda perspective on cancer and the herbs. So, Dr. Shiv Kumar Harti, it's my pleasure to invite you to talk about a disease which is, I think, spreading faster than what we'd like it to. And your perspective would be really very useful to understand the disease better, and also a holistic approach to manage, prevent, control, or even if people have cancers, on how to manage the disease. Your stage, please.
Yeah, thank you, Shika. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'll be sharing my slides. Is it visible now? Are the slides visible?
Yes, please. They're visible.
Yeah, thank you, Shika. Thank you for the opportunity. So after hearing a wonderful lecture on how AI and cancer can help, AI can help in the prevention, diagnostics, and management of cancers. So I'll be presenting here what Ayurveda actually thinks cancer and what herbs are usually used for the prevention or the management or the side for cancers. Ayurveda is the oldest engineering system of medicine with mainly we deal with plant drugs, and we are known from earlier times for preventing or suppressing various terms, tumors using the natural drugs. In Ayurveda concept, according to Sushruta and Charaka Samhitas, cancer is described as an inflammatory or non-inflammatory swelling. We call it by various names in Ayurveda. We call them as Granthi, or we also call them by Arbuda. Various preventive therapies, management therapies for Granthi and Arbuda have been mentioned in Ayurveda in detail. Now, if you look into the modern science, the last 50 years, the focus of cancer research, it has suggested that they have discovered altered molecules and pathways in cancer cells and developed specific drugs for each targeted pathway. Now, after that, further research, they unfolded increasing more complex layers of regulation of cancer cells by the tissue microenvironment, the extracellular matrix, and the surrounding stroma, including fibroblasts, immunocells, and the gut microbiome. And recently, they've also included the role of mental stress and integrated system of psycho-neuroendocrine immunology. So I'll not be detailing in about this, but what Ayurveda says is that Ayurveda principles, they outline even more complex level regulation of how the cells and tissues interact and are influenced by the elements in nature. We call them as Pancha Mahabhutas, like Prithvi, Aap, Teja, Vayu, Akash, that is earth, water, fire, air, and space. And based on these Pancha Mahabhutas, we believe that there are three dosha theories, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And Ayurveda equates the human body to an ecological system aligned with earth ecosystem and the earth universal laws of nature. So according to Ayurveda, whatever happens outside the body, the same thing occurs even inside the body. So that is why we find seasonal, as and there are seasonal changes, we find the same peculiar changes even in our body. So when we talk about the cancer, it's all about Ayurveda considers it's an imbalance of three doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, which lead to toxin accumulation and abnormal cell growth. So from the theory of Panchamahabhutas, we reduce to our Tridosha theory, and we believe that any imbalance in these three doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, they lead to a abnormal cell growth. And there are various factors why this Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and Kapha get initiated. It's not only about the Prakriti. So Ayurveda considers wrong diet, behavior, environmental factors. So these provoke as an imbalance in expression of doshas, and further affect the physiology and psychology. So how these Vata, Pitta, and Kapha are related is that even the slight change in the environment, the same there will be some imbalance in the Vata, Pitta, and Kapha doshas. And that is why Ayurveda recommends that seasonally these toxins should be removed. For example, in the month of around spring, there should be a Vamana. Vamana says that the toxins removed, the toxins which are accumulated in the body, they're removed. And somewhere in the November, December around, we give them purgations. So at specific seasons, specific recommendations have been mentioned in line with the prevention of all this accumulation of the toxins and abnormal cell growths. When you talk about the herbs and cancer, today the herbs, more than 25% of the drugs used in the last 20 years are directly derived from the plants, and 25% are chemically altered natural products. Now, herbs help in total healing, they reduce side effects and cancer-related complications. Among these plant derivatives, that 9 plant-derived compounds have been approved for the use of anti-cancerous drugs, and many more are in pipeline. Each herb contains multiple active principles that often operate synergistically, producing therapeutic benefits, lowering the risk of adverse effects. They avoid the need of supplementary therapy to manage cancer cachexia. Now, how these Ayurveda herbs help in the cancer prevention? To talk in terms of Ayurveda, we can talk on how they create a balance when these doshas are imbalanced. When talking to a modern perspective, they have got antioxidant activities which prevent DNA damage. They also have an anti-inflammatory effects which can reduce chronic inflammation. And detoxification helps in the removal of carcinogens. Apoptosis promotes cancer cell death, and angiogenesis inhibition restricts tumor growth. So I'll be discussing on very few herbs which are used either in the prevention of the cancer or during the management of the cancers. One of the important herb which we use in our kitchens is black pepper. The specialty of this is that it enhances the bioavailability of curcumin and other herbs. So it also acts as an anti-inflammatory, cancer protective. It has an anti-inflammatory and cancer protective properties. It stimulates digestion and metabolism. It has got a synergistic effects with curcumin for a better efficacy. Now, this black pepper has been used in the various food preparations in the form of salad, soup, stir fries, etc. And with curcumin, it boosts the absorption in herbal formulations. And that is why even in Ayurveda, many of the preparations, we do have a combination of curcumin and black pepper. And black pepper is usually taken with a herbal tea with the ginger and honey for therapeutic effects. Another plant product is cinnamon. It is also antioxidant rich. It reduces inflammation, prevents metastasis, inhibits tumor growth, and promotes apoptosis. It regulates insulin sensitivity, which may impact the cancer progression. Now, cinnamon is taken in the various forms, in the form of herbal tea, or it can also be added in porridge and oatmeal to increase the flavor and its anti-inflammatory benefits. It's also used in the smoothies which are blended with banana, yogurts, nuts. Clove again has got anti-inflammatory and immune boosting properties. It also supports oral and digestive health. It has potential to inhibit cancer cell proliferation. Now, clove is also again taken in the various forms. It can be taken as a herbal tea, clove tea. It has been added as spices. It can be used as a mouth freshness. So in various forms, it can be used. I was talking about the curcumin even in the previous slide. Curcumin, one of the known drug or a plant, which has got a powerful anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties. It enhances chemotherapy effectiveness also when given in the management. It suppresses cancer cell proliferation, induces apoptosis, and inhibits angiogenesis. Now, it is used in the integrative oncology for various cancers, including breast, colon, prostate cancers. And we have been very familiar with this spice even in the kitchens. Even in the COVID era also, it was used as a golden latte or golden milk, where the turmeric was mixed with warm milk and taken. And turmeric usually added as a spice in various curries, soups, stews. And with black pepper, as I told in the previous slide, it enhances the curcumin absorption. So it's a peppermint synergy. Ginger again is used in various Ayurveda formulations again. It suppresses tumor proliferation, reduces oxidative stress, blocks cancer cell invasion and metastasis, enhances chemotherapy effectiveness, aids digestion detoxification. In Ayurveda, ginger is also called as an Agni Deepak, where it increases metabolism. It is Amahara. Amahara is something which is removes the waste or the toxins which are accumulated. Ginger is used in various forms. It is used as ginger tea, and smoothies, juices, salad dressings, variation. We also have we also have in Ayurveda, it is said that ginger should be taken along with some salt and a little bit of jaggery. So, Gudardrak, we call it as Gudardrak Prayog. Garlic again reduces carcinogen activation. It reduces apoptosis in cancerous cells. It enhances immune response and reduces tumor proliferation. It has got an anti-inflammatory antitoxin properties, rich in antioxidants, exhibits very strong cytotoxic effects. Raw garlic is best consumed in salads and chutneys. We also have a garlic chutneys, etc. Then garlic infused oil, then soups, broths, etc. So garlic can be used in a multiple ways in our diet. One more Ayurveda drug which is especially used in the prevention of cancers are Triphala. It's a combination of Avla, Vedique and Herdaki. Avla is Emblica officinalis, what you call Avla, Indian gooseberry, and Terminalia, the Vedique, and Terminalia chabula is Haritaki. Terminalia bellerica is Vedique. So this Triphala is the combination of these Avla, Haritaki and Vedique. Usually, Triphala, it's when taken along with some warm water at a bedtime. And it's also used in various other preparations for digestion, immunity. And Triphala sometimes added in some smoothies for general cleansing properties also. So this Triphala, it enhances digestion, it removes the toxins, supports the cellular health. And even sometimes what happens is this Triphala water, that is a decoction, the triphala boiled in a water, and that the decoction, it's used for washing the vegetables also, where research studies have found that washing in triphala water can reduce it can reduce the toxins, the pesticides from the vegetables. So this was a research study done at one of our institutes where they found that washing vegetables with triphala decoction has been found very beneficial in reducing the pesticide residuals. Then neem, recently we had a festival of New Year, that is Ugadi or Gudi Padava, we call that in Maharashtra. In southern state, we call it as Ugadi, where there is a custom of having a neem flowers with jaggery. We call them as Bevu Bella, that is neem flowers and with some jaggery, where there are some customs where also a neem leaves is taken along with jaggery there. So it's a process. Why? Because this neem, it helps in detoxify and purify the body, as well as purifying the effect on the body. The usual neem leaves are consumed raw along with the jaggeries, and there are some preparations where the herbal decoction is made along with tulsi and giloi, that is guduchi, for immune boosting. The extracts of these seeds, leaves, and flowers and fruits of neem have been consistently shown chemopreventive and anti-tumor effects in different types of cancers. Now, usually this season, we call it as Chaitra Masa or Vasanta Ritu, where spring season, where we say that the body has got a accumulation of kapha in the kapha. As the previous slides have been telling that we have a concept of having the body as Vata, Pitta and Kapha. So usually in this season, what happens is there will be a lot of kapha accumulated in the body. This kapha has to be removed from the body. So the excessive kapha has to be removed from the body. So that is why there are some detoxification procedures for how this kapha is removed. And neem is one of the drug where neem is one of the plant where we usually use it for a detoxifying. And we all know about ashwagandha. Ashwagandha has been, there are a lot of research activities have been done on ashwagandha, where it has shown that in vitro and in vivo studies have shown that they possess a potential for treating especially breast cancers, that ER, PR positive breast cancer, triple negative breast cancers, etc. And this ashwagandha have been used in the kitchens. It has been used in the milk, and there are various formulations of ashwagandha in Ayurveda. Formularies. It's usually ashwagandha is added to warm milk for strength and immunity, used in the smoothies, energy balls, or the formulation, etc. But care to be taken that ashwagandha has to also always to be taken on the prescription of a doctor, rather than consuming without prescription of doctor at homes. Because ashwagandha, if taken in excessive quantity, it has got its own side effects also. Methi, again, fenugreek, one of the most commonly used, we call it as a plant in a kitchens or in a diet, Indian diets. It has got a chemopreventive and anti-inflammatory effects. It modulates hormones, metabolic pathways, and supports gut health. There are various ways how methi is taken. Usually soaked overnight, taken in the next morning. It's also used in salads. And methi leaves, we prepare various curries of methi leaves. We prepare vegetables of methi leaves. So these have shown a very good role in the prevention of cancers. Cardamom again, it beautifully blends with the other spices called as cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, etc. Where used in various dishes, stews, soups, curries. It helps in digestion and respiratory health. It promotes stress relief, and it has found to have an DNA protection anti-cancer activity. Nutmeg again, used to flavor many kinds of baked goods, confections, puddings, potatoes, meat, sauces, vegetables, and beverages. We also have nutmeg rice, and this nutmeg help in detoxifying. It has got detoxifying properties, anti-proliferative effects on cancer cells, and supports brain health too. Pomegranate, it inhibits cancer cell proliferation and antioxidant rich for DNA protection, supports health, heart and metabolic health. In Ayurveda, two fruits have been told as the very best fruits for the prevention of for a preventive health. One is the avla, the other is the pomegranate. So we consider these two fruits are one of the best fruits for a healthy living. Tulsi again, as it got its strong antioxidant and immune enhancer properties. It has also got a detoxifying property. It supports stress management. It has got an anti-proliferative effect on cancer cells. And Tulsi has been taken, can be taken daily on a stomach for 5 to 7 leaves. Tulsi, there are various Tulsi tea preparations, and even you can make a powder of Tulsi, dry powder, and then mix it with ghee, oil, or honey and take it. Tulsi water can be taken. So these are all there are the list of herbs goes on, but due to time consistency, I've mentioned here only a few very important herbs used in Ayurveda for a preventive and curative therapy in the cancers. Now there are various studies which show that these herbs, these herbs have been very significant in reducing the anorexia. They improve the quality of life in heterogeneous group of cancers patients. So there are various ones like just I talked about black pepper, pomegranate, ginger, avla, cumin, etc. And one of the study mentions that these spices in culinary helps. They are very good for the prevention and treatment of breast cancers. They conclude that it increases apoptosis, they increase autophagy, reducing metastasis, reducing invasion, reducing migration, cell growth, cell proliferation, etc. So the list of spices in culinary herbs like turmeric, garlic, ginger, a lot of things which I mentioned in the previous slides. And this is one of the thing till now we discussed about what all the foods help in the prevention of the cancer. But one more thing is that what not to be done. This is one of the study which has been published very recently in Ayurveda journals. Now we always Ayurveda as Ayurveda practitioner, Ayurveda advocacies, we always advise not to take very spicy foods or or a food, especially curd at the night time. Now this study finds out that the consumption of they have studied that this is one of the case control study. They found that they have found that the green chilies, red chilies, and the curd in large quantity and for a longer duration can cause inflammation leading to various types of cancers, especially colorectal cancer. You can see here in the slides the green chili, right, and especially colorectal cancers, and right, and various stages of the cancers. They especially affect the multiple organs. So especially the green chili, red chili, and the combination of these are usually found to have an adverse effect. They're found as dietary risk factor for a colorectal cancer. And this is what we advise that not to take these food, especially which are very, we call them as katuras. Katu is something pungent food, and foods which are very of hot potency. They tend to increase the inflammation. And that is what we call it as Shota or Arbuda. Discussed in the previous slide that we call cancer in Ayurveda as Arbuda. So these are some of the various risk factors which should be avoided. And there was one more study which showed that whole system Ayurvedic medicine, nutrition, lifestyle intervention is feasible and acceptable for breast cancer survivors. So to conclude, Ayurveda herbs have got a promising potential in supporting overall health and possibly preventing cancer. They should be regarded as a complementary to established medical treatments rather than the replacements. So with this, I conclude. Thanks, Dr. Shikha ji, for giving an opportunity to interact with you all on Ayurveda cancer and health. Thank you, Shikha. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Shivharti. And I must say that Dr. Shivharti has been always very, very helpful. We always reach out to him for advice and for guidance. And he always is very generous with his time. And recent few months back, he was also very helpful for one of the international scientists who wanted to understand the Indian indigenous systems of healing. So thank you, Dr. Shivharti, for always being there.
Yeah,
and now for questions. So if there are any questions regarding early diagnosis, or people who have been diagnosed with cancer, what is the way? So we are happy to take any questions for Dr. Shivharti also. We are happy to take. But the first question I think I'd like to ask myself, while you're collecting the questions, a quick question to each I have. So Dr. Gaur, that we all know that we are living in a very polluted zone. I mean, like Delhi is a very highly polluted zone. Air quality index is terrible. Are there any simple tests we can do which can help us, understand that are we at risk, or if suppose somebody has a family history, what would you recommend? Which is the test which can be done?
When it comes to there's a family history of cancer, and you're working in an environment like where air quality index is bad. Firstly, let me say there's no one single test which is for cancer diagnosis. No one single test. And because it's all like a mixture. Because majority of the patient land up, they have asymptomatic during the initial phase. So a routine health screen, something, your basic liver function, lung function, complete blood count, and your thyroid. Basically, these are important. Liver function, kidney function, your thyroid, sugar, HbA1c, and CBC, including an ESR, which is very, very important factor. These are basic things which everybody, and everybody gets it done on a regular basis, probably gives you some indication. As for the age-wise, now probably at 45 years of onwards, you got a PSA done, prostate for PSA. Then for the women, pap smears are advisable on an yearly basis, kind of a thing. Then probably, now we're talking about mammography or ultrasound of breast, probably, at alternate year, or because every 5 years, mammography and ultrasound, maybe every alternate year. That's another area. So these are, then we have certain tumor markers, CA125, CE, but these are all various generalized markers, and put together, we arrive at a conclusion this person is likely or more predisposed. Now, there are today in this era of diagnostic, we all talk about molecular and genomic testing. Those are the tests which are probably now playing a very, very important role. And one such test was like Pentum, which has been discussed yesterday. Pentum was something, a molecular based kind of a test where we know, okay, somebody is more predisposed, more risk, more number of, because it just cells that whenever a single tumor cells is formed, our body try to kill it. Now that debris, if you can identify how many these have been killed, probably that gives you some indication. The similar thing we have today, we have a proteomics test kind of thing. We have BRCA also, because genetic and the combination of the metabolics, probably those are the tests which are today, I'm afraid to say no single test exists. But overall, everything put together, little bit of basic radiology, ultrasound, X-ray, and blood test, and this probably your family history. Those are the things which can give you some indication that one is likely to have or more predisposed to cancer. And liquid biopsies are now coming up. If you're a smoker and you're exposed to high blood index, you're chronically coughing, nothing coming out, probably the various EGFR mutation, ELK mutation, cell-free DNA test can help you identify that. But again, I'll say a word of caution. These molecular tests are just indicative. I think more important is have a comprehensive picture and arrive at a likelihood of cancer, more chances, more predisposition. Diagnosis is only done today based on your tissue or based on your blood, which is like the blood cancer, the bone marrow and the blood, and the body fluids, and oblique the biopsy, histopathology. That's gold standard, and that's what for. So my advice was be well aware, get your molecular testing done, get your health screen, basic testing on a regular basis, be customized to your lifestyle and habits. That's very, very important. Vegetarian, non-vegetarian, sleeping early, sleeping late, exercise, sedentary, obesity. Keep that factor in mind because these factors are equally important in your diagnostics, genetics versus these factors. You can come out with a risk score, and that AI can help you develop a risk score. I think comprehensive diagnosis is an answer. Standalone, probably, I'm afraid we'll not be able to say one test gives you one answer.
So that's very, very useful. And Dr. Shiv Kumar, like a lot of people, when we tell them you have to change your nutrition and lifestyle, they say we can't change 100%. Sometimes, so we'll have alcohol, or sometimes we'll have, this fast food. So, what is the way to counterbalance? So, most people ask us, how do we counterbalance if suppose there is some portion of our life which is not very healthy? So, your views on that, Dr. Shiv Kumar?
Yeah, Shika, it's always difficult, even for us also, it's very difficult to avoid sometimes these unhealthy foods. Sometimes we go for the parties, and even when we follow even a daily lifestyle, we tell that only we should have a 2 times a day meal. But many a times we come that we even have some snacks in between. So there are always these things. What Ayurveda tells is that the seasonal purification is one of the best methods, along with the yoga. Even yoga recommends certain purificatory measures, like we talked about respiratory disorders, especially in the winter seasons. And yoga recommends a procedure called as a jalaneti, where we use a water in the nostrils of the nose. And Ayurveda has got a procedure called as a Nasya therapy, where we install 2 drops of oil in the nose. So these are various procedures where we can remove the toxins from the body. Especially yoga has got certain procedures called as Shatkarmas. Kapalabhati is one of them. Jalaneti is one of them. And there is even in Ayurveda also. With these things, we can say we can have that increased cushion, that even if sometimes we have some unhealthy lifestyle, this can be counterbalanced by these purificatory methods.
Thank you. And of course, like you mentioned, that the detoxification and the procedures which are done after every season, the panchkarmas, are very useful. That was really nice and helpful, because many times people don't understand what exactly is this panchkarma and why should we do it. So I think that was a very suitable answer. We, of course, are recording this entire session, and we encourage people to, share this session with their friends and family. So, Kanika, any questions so that we can...
Yes, ma'am, we have a few questions. So this question is by Miss Shruti for Dr. Harti. She's asking that green chili and red chili should be taken or not, and if it can be consumed, what is the right quantity? And she also want to know about how to consume curd and in what quantity.
Okay, thank you, Kanika. Usually, Ayurveda tells that anything in excess should be avoided. That is why with moderate amount of spices can be used. Usually, especially for Pitta Prakritis, again, these spicy food should be contraindicated for them. So they should be used in very, very less amount, very moderation. And curd, Ayurveda recommends that it should be taken only in the afternoons, that to mix with some dilute it to some water, make it a buttermilk, or you can use it with some sugar in that, and not to be taken raw as such, especially during the night times.
Thank
I
you very
think
much,
I have
sir.
answered the question. Anything else?
Yes, we have one more question, and the question is by Mr. Swaminarayan S. And he's asking that is there any evidence of Ayurveda as first line of treatment in managing or curing any type of cancer?
There are a lot of case studies, but they cannot be taken as complete. That's why I told in the conclusion that it cannot be a replacement, it can be complementary. We believe in integrative science where it can complement something to the modern science. I think I answered the question.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. And Mr. Swaminarayan, we'll be sharing the link for the video URL with you through email. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you, Vedique.
Thank you so much. And with that, I'd like to invite Dr. Reena Rawat. Yes, can you put up the slides for Dr. Reena Rawat?
Is it visible, ma'am?
Yes, it's visible. Dr. Reena Rawat is a holistic health expert at One Health. She did her Bachelor of Ayurvedic Medicine from Ayurveda and Unani Tibbia College and Hospital. She is a double postdoctoral diploma in Yoga and Naturopathy, obtained from the Morarji Desai National Institute of Yoga and the International Foundation of Natural Health and Yoga. And she heads the healthcare department at One Health, where nutrition, like I said, is used food as medicine. And she'll be talking about compliance and monitoring in managing cancer and taking an approach of naturopathy and holistic nutrition. So, Dr. Reena, your stage, please.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity of sharing my views on the cancer prevention. And today I'll be talking about the compliance and the monitoring. And I'll also be sharing about some of the facts in naturopathy that can be utilized for the prevention of the cancer. And during the treatment, there are certain symptoms, how to manage them as well. So now I'm sharing my screen with the viewers. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, please. It's visible.
Yeah. So today I'll be talking about the role of naturopathy and the compliance cancer. I would like to start my presentation with a study which shows that nearly 40% of the cancer patients, they do not adhere to the prescribed dietary and the lifestyle changes, which can significantly impact recovery and the quality of life. Basically, we all know that nutrition plays a very major role when it comes to the healing process. And people are aware of the knowledge, like they know that what they are supposed to eat, what they should avoid. But as we have just discussed, that it happens with everyone, that sometimes we deviate from the food which we are supposed to have. And the same happens with the cancer patients as well, because normally, like when people are not suffering from any disease, at that time also it is very difficult to cut down on the food which are not good for your health. But yes, in the cancer patient, there are a lot many other things happening, not only at the physical level, but at their mental level. And at that time, it is very important for the cancer patient to take the help from the professionals, because alone they cannot fight with this journey. So nutrition plays a very critical role in managing the cancer, and especially during the treatment time. So we are going to cover these topics today, in which we'll be having the role of cancer nutrition in cancer prevention. We will also be talking about the compliance changes and how to improve it, the adherence to the plan which your nutritionist is suggesting you, which your doctors are suggesting you. And at the same time, people who are doing yoga or breathing exercises also. So it is very important to adhere to the schedule, like whatever is prescribed by your professionals, and a naturopathic and holistic approach for the better outcomes. So first of all, we're talking about the role of nutrition and why it is important. It is basically, there are three main things which the nutrition is going to do in your body. First is it is going to improve your immune function. Second, it improves your energy level, which is very important because during the cancer treatment, the most common complaint that people, tell us is about their energy levels. They goes down very much. And to support the tissue repair is very important for the healing process. These are certain key nutrients which are required for the prevention of cancer and during the cancer management. The most important nutrient is the protein, which is very important to support your muscle mass and the tissue repair that we all know. And the sources, I have mentioned just few sources here for your knowledge, but there are many other sources of protein that you can incorporate in your diet, like lentils, tofu. Similarly, antioxidants plays a very major role in terms of healing and to cut down on the inflammation which is there in the body. So antioxidants like berries, turmeric, these are the things which comes in this category. Then healthy fats plays a major role when it comes to the nutrient absorption from the body. So it is avocado you can have, flax seeds you can have, olive oil. These are the healthy fats which you can add on in your diet. And yes, definitely hydration is something which is very important for the patients. Now, as compliance is very important when your doctors are prescribing you something, when your nutritionist is prescribing you something, it is very important to follow that regime. So most of the time, the challenges that people face when it comes to the compliance is the lack of awareness. Sometimes patients feel that if they are taking the treatment of cancer, then there is no need to make any changes in the diet. So their understanding is that nutrition is not very important for the healing process is one thing. This is the lack of awareness of that patient. Secondly, during the treatment, especially during the chemotherapy, there are a lot of changes in the appetite and taste, because of which patient don't want to follow a particular regime. They want to have something which they like. And in such conditions, we generally encourage them to have food in the form of smoothies, soups, and herbal infusions to add on the taste in the food. At the same time, because of the fatigue and low energy levels, meal preparation is again a very difficult thing for them to, make a variety of food at that particular time. So the moment you start talking to a professional, they will provide you a guideline, like how to make the cooking easy and how to take the food which is easy to cook in the form of energy balls, in the form of soak nuts, and there are many other preparations which does not require too much of cooking. Similarly, emotionally, the person also feel a lot of stress. There is depression and fear also. So at that time, mindful eating and emotional support is very important so that compliance can be there. So now I'll be taking the first point, which is the lack of awareness and sometimes the misinformation which is there. So first thing that people have to believe that nutrition plays a very major role when you are taking any treatment, whether it is chemotherapy or radiation or it is a surgery. So it is always advisable to take advice from a professional so that you can follow the guidelines which is suggested as per the different organizations. Like, there are many organizations and guidelines which are suggested for the cancer patients. Also, you should not follow something which is from any unverified source. Like nowadays, there are social media, there are many misleading advices, which, people feel that something miracle is going to happen with them by eating a particular food. So don't follow any such advice. Always take the advice which has a scientific back from that in that advice. So, and also avoid certain food which are basically food due to which there is a feeding cancer cells. Now, what are the solution for these problems? So first thing is the education. So Follow the nutrition guidelines which are suggested by your hospitals, by your clinics, and the support group, so that you can get the correct information about the nutrition and about the diet. Most of the time, people get the diet plan, people know what is the do's and don'ts they have to follow. But because they are not able to follow that plan, it is very important to take the counseling sessions with your nutritionist, because the nutritionist is going to modify your nutrition plan as per your likings, as per your disliking. And at the same time, they have studied the nutrition as per the medical conditions of an individual. They can guide you in a better way. Evidence-based resources, like sharing anything which is research-based, whether it is food, nutrition, or any other herb or plant-based supplement you are having, make sure that it is scientifically backed. There are certain researches done on it before you add on these things to your routine. Now, as we have discussed during the cancer treatment, especially when there is chemotherapy and radiation therapy, there are a lot of changes happening in your body, like your taste, smell, it becomes little bland, metallic. There is a lot of loss of appetite also is there. There is nausea, fatigue, mouth sore. So all these problems, they club together, and people, they don't feel to follow something which is bland, something which is not, of their taste, and especially due to the loss of appetite, they don't feel to have anything in their diet. So that leads to a delay in the healing process. Now, what is the solution for all these problems? First thing is you need to modify the meal textures. It's not always that you need to eat chapati or sabzi. You need to add on different varieties, like different smoothies you can add on with different fruits, different vegetables you can add on to that. Similarly, the soup, purees, which are easy to consume and they are palatable also. To enhance the flavor in your food, you can use mild herbs like a ginger, mint, lemon. These are the things you can add on to your meals. And instead of having a large portion at a particular time, you can split it into, after every 2 hours, have a small quantity of a soup or a smoothie or the meal of your liking. And it is also advisable to take food either it is at a room temperature or little cold, so that you can easily consume it. This is the another challenge that we have discussed, that during fatigue, the meal preparation become very difficult for the patients. And it is also difficult for them to shop for the preparation of the meal and all those things. So it is always advisable to choose a meal which is very simple and which is quick, because that is going to cut down on your fatigue and your mental stress. So different kind of protein shakes, smoothies, no cook meal preparations you can add on to your diet. And the family members and the caregivers who are there, they can prepare also your meal in advance, so that you don't have, like, preparation is the key. Like whenever people are coming to us, they have this query that there is a lot of hard work is involved when you follow a very healthy diet. So I think the preparation is the only key. Like if you prepare the things, in advance, and you keep the things, the healthy food handy, then it is not that difficult. So preparation is very important when it comes to follow a healthy regime. Next factor, which is very important, is the emotional and psychological factor. Like most of the time in this condition, people feel a lot of stress and depression and anxiety, and there is sometimes emotional eating also. They tend to have food which is like too much of sugar, too much of like oil or fried food. They have craving for such kind of food during emotional eating. And some patients also develop disorders of eating. For example, they refuse the food because they think that if I eat anything, that is going to worsen my condition. So in both the condition, the person is not able to heal their body. The body is not going to respond, even if the person is having too much of food, or if the person stop eating anything which is required for the rejuvenating the body. Now, what are the practices that can be done? So the first thing is the mindful eating practices, which is very important. Sometimes the very simple things, as Dr. Shikha has mentioned in the beginning of the conclave, that sometimes you need to follow very simple things, and these simple things are very impactful. But sometimes we need that only, sometimes we think that only following a very simple things are not going to help us, which is not right. So here, when we are talking about the mindful eating practices, and when we are talking about deep breathing before your meals, this is very important. Although it seems very simple that deep breathing is something which everybody is advising, but the moment you start doing it, you can feel the difference. So it is very important that do a deep breathing of 2 minutes to 5 minutes of deep breathing you can begin with before having your meals. You can certainly see the changes in your meal patterns that you are having. Then counseling and support group is also very important for the cancer patient because they need a lot of emotional encouragement, not only in terms of nutrition, but when you're talking about when you're talking to the group which are also facing the same kind of problem, you can see that there is a lot of things that you are going to learn. Like when we are talking about the children and when we are telling them that they learn a lot from their peers. Similarly, when you join such group where people are also facing the same kind of problem and they're finding different solution to these problem, they'll definitely going to share it with you and you can also get benefit from that. Third thing, which is very important, is the laughter therapy and the meditation. These things are very important. The moment you practice these things, then only you'll be able to realize the impact of these things in your body. This we have discussed that if there is any kind of nausea, vomiting, constipation, diarrhea, these are the digestive issues which generally happen during the treatment. And it is very important to take care of these issues. For example, if the person is facing constipation, you need to make sure that you include fiber in your diet. Similarly, for the sensitive gut, sometimes there is diarrhea. So you need to cut down on the food with high fiber and you need to add on the soft diet in your meals. So these are certain changes that can be done in your nutrition when you are dealing with any kind of symptoms like nausea, vomiting, constipation, or diarrhea during the treatments. Like if there is nausea, as I've discussed, that small meals are very good. Some examples like banana, rice, ginger infusion. So as Dr. Harti has also mentioned, like digestion related issues are majorly, you can, take ginger in the ginger infusion, like take some ginger, just crush it and boil it in the water. And that ginger infusion is very effective for taking care of your digestive health. Similarly, when you need to increase the fiber in your diet, flax seeds is something that can be added on, whole grains and soaked prunes are good. And for constipation, hydration plays a major role. Similarly, if a person is having sensitive stomach, so you need to go on low fiber diet. So here it is very important not to follow a guideline, which is like, sometimes people say high fiber diet is good, irrespective of that, whether they are having a constipation or a diarrhea. So now we will be talking about the naturopathic and the holistic approach and what are the key benefits when somebody is following these guidelines. So the number one thing is to reduce the effect, like to help managing your nausea, vomiting, and other side effects. Similarly, to boost your immunity is the major role. Then detoxification, because we all know that the major organs which are there in our body is our liver and kidneys, which help in the process of detoxification. Similarly, we need to improve the energy levels of the person by making certain changes in the nutrition and providing the herbal support, and enhances the mental well-being of the patient by reducing the stress, anxiety, depression. So when we are talking about what are the nutrition or the approach that we need to take when the person is taking the treatment, so it is basically the anti-inflammatory food and antioxidants are in the diet are very important. And the hydration support is also very important. As Dr. Harti has also just mentioned, there are certain herbs which are very important. But at the same time, you need to take these herbs in moderation. Like turmeric is there, ginger is there. Even if these are kitchen spices, but we should not take anything in the quantity which is not suitable for our body. And one thing, it is very important whenever you incorporate any food, any new grain, any spice in your diet, and your body is not comfortable with that and showing you certain signs and symptoms which you are not comfortable. So try not to include those things in your diet. And it is always advisable to take the guidance from an expert before you start any kind of supplement in your diet. Now there are, for the mind and body therapies, there are various techniques like meditation, yoga, and breathing exercises that we are going to learn in our next session. Then there are various supplements under supervision. You can also incorporate in your routine like vitamin D, omega-3, and probiotics. Now, when we talk about nutrition therapy, we need to follow a diet which is anti-cancerous and which is gut friendly. And the goal of such type of diet is basically to boost your immunity, to reduce the inflammation which is there in your body. Here, I have just jotted down few fruits and vegetables, which as per the research has mentioned that they are going to improve the process of healing in your body. Like when we are talking about the fruits and vegetables which are important, it's basically the berries, pomegranate, carrots, beetroot, broccoli, spinach, which are basically the green leafy vegetables, because these things are rich in antioxidants and it supports your body to heal faster. Similarly, the healthy fats are there like coconut, flax seeds, avocado, walnuts. Then the protein sources, apart from lentils, nuts, seeds, there are various other protein sources that you can add on to your diet, which is important for the muscle strengthening of your body. And when we are talking about grains, there's quinoa, brown rice, millet, and this is very important to sustain the energy of your body. And definitely for your gut health, you need probiotic rich food. You can take buttermilk, kimchi, these are the things. And when we talk about hydration, it's not only about water, which has to be consumed. You can also consume the coconut water and different herbal infusions like ginger infusion, cinnamon infusion, and warm water with lemon, which also has an alkaline effect on your body. So when it comes to hydration, make sure you can include different variety of beverages in your meal so that your body get hydrated and you get that taste also. Here are few facts which we here basically tell to all our patients to follow when they are of a diet. First thing, we majorly focus on the plant-based diet and which is fresh. Because your body is already loaded with a lot of toxins, you need to cut down the entry of all the chemicals in the form of pesticides in your food or in chemical like coloring agents are there. There are a lot of preservatives in the food. So we need to cut down on that. So for that, the plant-based diet is important, but make sure you buy organic vegetables and fruit and whole grains, which are very important for the health. Similarly, the antioxidant-rich food is very important, like the dark green leafy vegetables are there, ginger, turmeric, berries, these are very important. When we are talking about oil, again, in terms of when we are consuming refined oil, we are adding a lot of chemicals to our body, which we need to cut down on. And make sure that the oil, whichever oil you're consuming, this has to be a cold pressed oil. It should not be a refined oil. Most of the time we have seen people store their oil in plastic bottles, which is again not the right thing. Always keep the bottles like a glass bottle you can use to store the oil. And definitely when we are saying that it is a healthy fat, it doesn't mean that the quantity or the, you can, fry something in the olive oil. It's not like that. So when it is a healthy fat, still you need to have the quantity in control. Like in a 15 ml of oil per day you can consume, not more than that. You can have olive oil, coconut oil, you can have kachi ghani mustard oil also. So these are things that you can incorporate in your diet. Similarly, different kind of proteins you can add on, different herbal infusions, grains, seeds, which are going to support your health. And the most important, alkaline food. Most of the time, like in the sessions that we have yesterday, we have discussed that the environment in the body become very acidic in the cancer. So it is very important to have alkaline food in the diet. Alkaline food is nothing. It is your regular food that you get in the form of cucumbers, beetroot, carrot. So the things that you are consuming raw contains a lot of enzyme into it. In fact, when we talk about the lemon water, it is very simple, but it has an alkaline effect in your body. So here today, the things which we are discussing, this is not something for which you need to make a lot of preparations. These are very simple things. You just need to replace few things, which we have just highlighted in this slide also. And then you can see a lot of changes in the long run. Now, there are certain food which one has to avoid, like refined sugar or artificial sweetener. And why we need to avoid these things? Because these things are going to cause a lot of inflammation in your body. And it is not like that one day you are having these kind of food and it is going to cause inflammation the next day. No, it is going to be a long period. Like if over the years you are consuming refined sugar, artificial sugar, processed food, then in the long run, you will get all the kind of lifestyle disorders in which cancer is one of them. So that the moment you just replace these things with the healthier options or healthier versions, you can cut down on the probability of getting these kind of issues or the diseases in your life in the future. Like when we are talking about the processed food, everybody knows that biscuits, chips, fast food, or the frozen meals should be avoided because it contains a lot of preservatives and chemicals. So if you have started eating something which we called organic, which we called something which is alkaline, make sure that you need to cut down on the food as well, because you need to cut down on the supply of preservatives and chemicals into your body. Similarly, refined flour preparations, which we are getting in the market, that has to be avoided in terms of like white bread, maida, pasta. These are different, things. So here I would also like to share one example from one of our client. And when we ask the person that, whether you are eating a lot of variety in your food. So the patient has discussed, yet, as I eat a lot of variety. I eat sandwich in the morning, then I eat pasta for the lunch, and I eat again a pasta or a noodle in the dinner. So basically, this is which we have discussed in the first slide, that lack of information is, awareness is something which is there. People think that they are eating a lot of variety, but actually they are eating the refined flour throughout the day. They are not incorporating various nutrients which are required in our food or in our body. So it is very important for the people to get aware about these things, that the food they are having, the variety, this is not the variety that they are supposed to have. Similarly, you should also cut down on the dairy, which contains a lot of hormones. So try to opt for the hormone-free milk product, or you can also switch to the plant-based milk. Again, like the fried junk food, that has to be avoided in any form, whether it is in the form of juice, processed food, or candies. These things should be avoided. And excessive intake of salt, pickles, these things can be cut down, and excessive. So you can see here, we have always mentioned the excessive intake of salt and pickle. You are not supposed to take something which is completely bland in taste, but yes, you have to make sure that things, you should not cross the limit, which is is going to harm your body. These are certain herbs which are definitely going to help you, like ginger, turmeric, holy basil, aloe vera. Aloe vera is especially for the people who are getting mouth ulcers during the treatment. So the moment you start making these lifestyle changes and detox, your energy levels is going to improve. You can also able to manage your stress and enhance the detoxification process which is there. Simple breathing techniques are definitely going to help you to manage your stress, like Anulom Vilom Pranayam and Bhramari. These are certain techniques which are going to help you. In meditation, you can do the guided meditation if you are not able to do the meditation at your own. Similarly, different kind of healings like music therapy is also helpful for reducing the stress levels. There are certain other techniques like water healing, where you can take shower with the warm water to reduce the body pain and fatigue. You can also soak your foot in the Epsom salt and turmeric water in the morning. If you consume, that is definitely going to detoxify your liver. Certain physical activities are very important, even if you are having the treatment. Take short walks. Do not force your body to do very rigorous exercise, but yes, you can do a short walks. And the restorative yoga is very important, where you can do mild stretching, and so that your body is going to be relaxed after that. So in naturopathy, there are certain detoxification processes. Like in Ayurveda, there is also certain detoxification processes that needs to be done under the guidance of a Ayurveda physician. There are certain detoxification processes that you can do in your day-to-day life at home as well. Like when we are talking about liver detoxification, Triphala is one of them that you can consume on a regular basis. And milk thistle is something which is very important for your liver detoxification. Intermittent fasting is a very good way of detoxifying your body, because it supports your cellular repair and it also reduces the oxidative stress. But again, in the intermittent fasting, just follow it according to your body type, whether it is vata, pitta and kapha, and try to incorporate the food which is not unhealthy during this phase, which is your eating phase. And there is juice cleansing also. Like you can, once in a week or once in 15 days, in this, you can just consume vegetable juices the entire day so that your body can detoxify itself. That is called the juice cleansing. That can also be done once in a week or once in 15 days. Now, from my end, these are the final guidelines and precautions that you have to follow. Always consult with any oncologist or a naturopath before you start any supplement on herb. Monitoring is very important. And whenever you feel discomfort with anything, you have to immediately stop that. During the entire process, you have to be very positive, and emotional well-being is very important when it comes to your healing. And this is my final thought on today's presentation, that food is your medicine, but only when taken as prescribed. In fact, whenever people do overeating, they, next day feel very bloated and there are many other health issues they are facing. So even if your regular food you are consuming in larger quantities, that is again going to, give you some trouble. So food is only going to act as a medicine when you take as per the prescription given by your nutritionist or by your doctors. So thank you so much with this presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Reena. That was a very comprehensive presentation and a lot of valid points you have touched upon. And like I had mentioned earlier, Dr. Reena heads the service department, the Department of Health at One Health, our company. And since compliance monitoring is something they do day in and day out, so they also hear, the doctors hear about what are the, I would say, reasons why people are not able to follow. But finally, when people comply, the results are amazing. Thank you so much. And with that, I'd like to invite our next panelist. Priyanka, can you put up the slide, please?
Yes, ma'am. Is it visible, ma'am?
Yes. So it gives me great pleasure to invite Dr. Alka Mohan. Dr. Alka Mohan is a nutrition consultant, and she is the former chief dietitian and head of dietetics department at All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Dr. Mohan has a master's degree in food and nutrition and a postgraduate diploma in public health. She has a postgraduate diploma in epidemiology and a PhD in nutrition. So I warmly invite Dr. Alka Mohan to come to the dais, and she'll be talking about nutrition during chemotherapy.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shikha. Am I audible?
Yes, yes. Priyanka, can you remove the slide? Yes.
Thank you very much for inviting me for this conclave. And it has been lovely to hear such experts talking about it. And I like to share my thoughts and whatever my experience as a dietitian dealing with cancer patients. So I'll be talking with regards to nutrition during chemotherapy. So I'll just start sharing the slide with you. So I hope it is visible.
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay. So we've been hearing for the last, for yesterday as well as today with regards to so many aspects of cancer, whether we talked about the risk factors, then the diagnostics, prevention, superfoods, and overall a holistic approach. So the topic which I would be talking would be a combination of all of them, but I would be giving a little more emphasis on nutrition, why nutrition is important for cancer patients. So we all understand that malignant disorders are one of the leading causes of morbidity and mortality worldwide and also in India. And the incidence and prevalence is definitely expected to rise in the coming decades, also because of the aging population, because of good health care techniques is there. So let's come to nutrition. Though Dr. Reena has very beautifully, in a concise manner, have talked about nutrition, but here I would just like to again re-emphasize that we all understand that balanced nutrition is very, very important for good health. And we know what a balanced diet includes. It includes a variety of foods, nutrients that the body requires, whether the macro and the micronutrients. And for everybody, eating a balanced diet is important, but it becomes even more important when a person who is receiving cancer treatment and helps to, because it helps to tolerate the treatment, it helps to tolerate the side effects, and also the effectiveness of the treatment, and prevents malnutrition, maintains the strength and energy, and improves the quality of life. So the nutrition care process, which we say when we are looking at the medical nutrition therapy, would include screening of the patient, to screen to understand if the patient is malnourished or is at risk for malnutrition or not. Then assessment, intervention. I always would like to say that it is very individualized, though we talk about the general principles, but every individual patient has to be dealt individually. And periodic evaluation is very, very important so that we ensure that appropriate nutrition is being offered to the patient. Now, all cancer patients, as I mentioned, have to be screened regularly for the risk for the presence of malnutrition. Of course, with the exception of patients with the end-of-life care, that is palliative care, because we do require the energy and the substrate requirements should be met by offering in a stepwise manner the nutrition intervention. So it is necessary to identify these cancer patients who are at risk for malnutrition in the course of the disease, so that we can plan the best possible intervention and follow-up before the cancer cachexia actually sets in, which hampers the optimal management. So why is it important that we assess or we screen for malnutrition? Because we do understand that it increases complications. and it increases morbidity, mortality for the patient, and it also reduces the tolerance to treatment and also decreases the patient's quality of life. So it is very important to assess for malnutrition, and various studies have shown that nutritional status is an independent prognostic factor in cancer patients. So malnutrition is strongly associated with increasing mortality risk in patients who undergo chemotherapy. So presently, the diagnostic for malnutrition is according to the GLIM, which is the Global Leadership Institute for the Malnutrition, and there the assessment criteria are initially a two-step approach for malnutrition, where the first is to figure out if the patient is at risk with the help of various screening tools, and then to understand the degree, the severity of the malnutrition, whether it's moderate or severe, because then accordingly the diet plan needs to be set in. Now, both cancer and cancer treatments may cause side effects. As Dr. Reena has also mentioned, it could impact the taste, smell, appetite, ability to eat enough of food or absorb nutrients from the food as well. So all this can impact the food intake, and in turn it can cause malnutrition. And many people with certain cancers are more likely to have eating problems, especially cancers, those which affect the digestive system, such as the head and neck, esophagus, stomach, pancreas, liver, and colon. But people with any type of cancer can find it hard to eat well as well. It's not necessarily that only, but those with the digestive system are more prone for issues with relation to the food. And when malnutrition is not managed in people with cancer treatment, it can lead to something called cancer cachexia, which is a wasting syndrome, and it can cause weakness, fatigue, weight loss, fat and muscle loss, and the reversal is very, very difficult. And we know once malnutrition sets in, what all are the side effects. So it is very, very important that we catch them early, provide them good nutrition support so that those problems can be avoided. Now, coming to the medical management for cancer, in any kind of cancer, there are different kinds, which has already also been talked about by my previous speakers. So I'll just briefly touch upon that. One is chemotherapy, which is the use of chemical agents or medications to systemically treat cancer. And there is hormone therapy also, which is used for treatment for hormone-sensitive cancers. Then biotherapy, radiation therapy, which uses the high-energy ionizing radiation in fractionated doses, or radioactive chemicals to treat cancer, or surgical removal of certain cancerous tissue. So now these modalities are usually given in combination, and they work through different mechanisms in a synergistic effect. But there are various factors which contribute to an individual's response to cancer treatment, which would include the disease itself, the tumor, which grade the tumor is, the rate of tumor growth, the drug resistance. So the patients are highly variable side effects with cancer treatment. And thus an individualized nutrition plan needs to be made for them. The tolerability and outcome of treatment depends on many factors. But the most important, one of the most important, I would say, is nutrition. So definitely we need to know to keep up a good nutrition for these patients is very, very important. We've already seen that there are many adverse effects of these therapies, which could affect the treatment, it could affect the outcome, it could affect the quality of life of the patient. And so that is why we need to understand what these problems are. And today I would just be touching briefly upon certain nutrition problems with and the different therapies, the medical therapies which are used for it, and what are the various tips or what are the various management tools for overcoming these nutrition problems. When we see various therapies like chemotherapy, immunotherapy, surgery, hormone therapy, radiotherapy, so we do see various kinds of side effects. So chemotherapy, as has been mentioned, it uses drugs to stop the growth of cancer cells by killing the cells or by stopping them from dividing. And these drugs or these medicines may also kill the healthy cells that grow and divide quickly. So such as the cells of the mouth and digestive tract. So this could also lead to various eating problems and other side effects. So what are those which we see with chemotherapy? There could be loss of appetite. There could be a feeling of fullness, so satiety, early satiety, nausea, vomiting, constipation, and diarrhea. So both opposite things could be seen. Dry mouth, sores in the mouth or throat, changes in the way the food tastes. It could be metallic taste or salty, sweet, so they may not be able to tolerate it. Also, the patient could have trouble swallowing. And there is also, for these patients, a high risk of infection also, including from food, because chemotherapy can reduce the number of the white blood cells. So there is importance regarding the food hygiene and safety is very, very important. Coming to the other kind of treatment therapies and their nutrition problems. So with regards to hormone therapy, also we do see nausea, vomiting is there, fatigue is there. The patient could have fluid retention and hyperglycemia as well. With immunotherapy, also patients are seen to be having fever, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, fatigue. Whereas in surgery, where a common part of the cancer treatment is there, where the certain part or tissue is removed, and if it is of the digestive tract, so then after the surgery, the eating will get hampered. And also after surgery, the body does require extra energy to heal wounds, to fight infection, to recover. So if the patient is already malnourished, it impacts the healing. And various nutrition-related side effects could include, again, loss of appetite, trouble in chewing, trouble in swallowing, and early satiety. The radiation therapy, which kills cancer cells and sometimes also tends to impact the healthy cells around the area as well. Also, one does see certain things like fatigue, poor appetite, but that also depends on the radiation of which part of the body is being done. So if it is the radiotherapy of the brain, head or neck, so it can lead to loss of appetite, nausea, vomiting, dry mouth, thick saliva, sore mouth, changes in food taste. If it is the radiation of the chest, then it could be trouble swallowing, choking, breathing, etc. In case of radiation of the abdomen, pelvis, it can cause inflamed colon, radiation enteritis, or diarrhea. Again, nausea, vomiting could be there. So these nutrition problems, which are caused by various cancer treatments, need appropriate nutrition, and which is a very, very crucial role for the patient with cancer, because we do see that these nutrition problems are sometimes under-prioritized, underdiagnosed, or untreated, and thereby it affects the treatment outcomes and also the quality of life. Talking about another aspect, and because we did have experts in the Ayurveda, so the major side effect of chemotherapy are looked through an Ayurvedic perspective. It appears that these are mostly manifestations of the aggravated Pitta dosha. So I'll be just sharing a few studies which have been done, which related to certain side effects. So the first and foremost is with regards to the food safety. So some cancer treatments can weaken the immune system, as we mentioned earlier. So it is very important that the handling, preparing of food is very hygienic, safe, clean, food temperatures to be kept correctly, cleaning of the raw vegetables, fruits to be done well, also to have separate utensils, plates, cutting boards, etc., for raw foods and for meats, etc. So even this is with regards to food, but the person who's cooking also has to follow hygiene, washing of hands thoroughly. Even the person who's eating has to follow these basic principles of hygiene. Of course, in addition to that, the raw vegetables like salads, sushis, undercooked food, meat, eggs, or raw foods has to be avoided. And also particular care has to be taken with regards to drinking water. Coming to one of the major side effects, and that is appetite loss, early satiety, and weight loss. So we do encourage patients to have small, more frequent, nutrient-dense meals and snacks, add proteins and fats to whatever food they like. As Dr. Reena had mentioned, the various sources of proteins and fats. So we could even have supplements, whether it's protein or calorie-containing supplements. Nutrient-dense foods can be kept handy as a snack so that they can eat it whenever they feel like. They don't feel fatigued making it again and again. Also, to maximize intake at times when they are feeling best. Eat in a pleasant environment, mindful eating. Of course, use of liquid supplements, smoothies is also suggested. And also to consume liquids between meals so that they do not feel full with the liquid itself or the water itself. Engaging in light physical activity as they are able to do or as their physician advises them. And also eating at regular intervals than waiting for the hunger cues. So specific time to be fixed so that they do eat even if they're not feeling hungry. So foods which are, as I mentioned, high in protein. So an extra protein calorie, it could be lentils, meats in a thin soup, broth, pureed, any grilled homemade paneer or fish, whatever that can be given to increase the total protein. The fat, calories option, a very good option is ice creams, some milkshakes. But if milk is not tolerated, then dahi, lassi can be given. And maybe a spoonful of non-fat dry milk powder could be added to the soups or the pureed foods to add on to increase the total protein and calorie intake. And most of the fluids, as mentioned earlier, should be sipped, small sips at mealtime, and it should be taken in between meals so that the main meals are not disturbed. If required, if their intake is not adequate, then nutrition supplements can be taken. That can be also, as was mentioned by Dr. Reena, certain favorite foods could be kept handy in small amounts so that they get ready, and whenever they feel hungry or in between, they can take it. As Dr. Harti had also mentioned, Chavanprash Avela is also a well-known Ayurvedic polyherbal preparation, which has shown significant in controlling the adverse effects of chemotherapy and radiotherapy. When talking about anorexia, which is also said to be called arochak in Ayurvedic scriptures, and it has been recommended to do mouth gargles by liquid formulations made from herbs like shundi, maricha, and pipali, which is, and even cinnamon, which is said to be helpful in overcoming the arochak or the anorexia. The other symptom, which is usually seen in many of the, as a side effect of many of the therapies, is nausea and vomiting. And it may begin maybe a few minutes to a few hours after treatment, and or could be even delayed and may occur after a day or more after the treatment. So it is very, very individual. So nausea and vomiting from chemotherapy usually lasts maybe 24 to 48 hours, but some people may feel sick up to 7 days after the treatment. For that, usually, again, small, frequent meals, small snacks, cool or room temperature, clear liquids in small amounts, avoidance of high fatty food, high spicy food, or overtly sweet foods to be avoided, foods with strong odors to be avoided. Also, on scheduled treatment days, it is advised to have a soft, bland, easy to digest foods, and also to rest with head elevated for 30 minutes after eating. And again, certain complementary therapies like ginger tea, ginger water, relaxation techniques is advised for these patients. Delayed nausea and vomiting that happens more than 24 hours after the cancer treatment sometimes is more difficult, especially in children, because a change in the child's diet pattern may be the only sign of a problem. So we have to be very, very alert in looking, in evaluating the patient's intake post the treatment so that we catch on whatever are the side effects and suggest the treatment accordingly. As was mentioned earlier, it's always also helpful to use cool, cold, or even frozen bits of certain fruits or lime juice, which can help. And once the worst is past, so the ginger ale or weak tea, green tea, clear broth and soups are also helpful. One needs to keep it in mind also that those foods which have strong smell, which could set up nausea, like fish, onion, garlic, that should be avoided or even cooked not around the patient. But one should try out foods which are the favorite foods or which the patient is able to tolerate. And they need to eat and drink slowly, rest after eating, and practice relaxation techniques. Very interesting technique which Dr. Reena mentioned was the 2-minute meditation or breathing exercise before eating. So that would also help in decreasing the nausea and vomiting in some patients. Also, we do keep informing the patient to have a diary so that they keep a record of whenever they've had these vomiting and nausea episodes and the respective food intake, because that is very helpful while we are counseling the patient, because every individual is different. In Ayurveda, this condition is called as chaddi, and it is mentioned that powder of haritaki mixed with honey or juice of raisins or cold water with tender leaves of mango or jamun, that is helpful in nausea, vomiting. Also, another study indicated the use of ginger, which has been earlier mentioned by the previous two speakers as well. Another side effect of chemotherapy, which is seen, is dry mouth or thickened saliva. So sipping of liquids throughout the day keeps the oral cavity moist. Now, this dry mouth occurs when the person has less saliva, and having less saliva makes it harder for the person to talk, to chew, to swallow food, and the dry mouth also can change how the food tastes also. So the chemotherapy and radiation therapy, especially to the head and neck, can damage the glands that make the saliva. So we need to ask them to eat foods that are easy to swallow. So sipping liquids along with the food or having moist food are helpful. So maybe try eating foods and drinks that are very sweet or tart, like lemonade, etc. They help in making saliva. Also, certain sugar-free hard candies, ice pops, ice chips, they also tend to stimulate the flow of saliva. Sometimes, to remove the thick, dry saliva, it is advised to maybe gargle or clean the mouth with carbonated beverages and spit it. Also, to keep the lips moist, the teeth to be flossed. So the oral hygiene is very, very important for these patients. Alcoholic beverages or even alcohol-containing mouthwashes to be avoided by these patients. So that is why we recommend soft diet, moist foods with extra gravies, extra sauces and dressings to be taken by these patients. Another problem that is seen is sore mouth, that is mouth sores or mucositis. And here we again suggest the intake of soft, moist food with extra gravy and avoid of spicy, caffeine, vinegar, or citrus fruits or alcohol. And we ask the patient to try out different temperatures to understand what is the best soothing for that person. So it could be either warm, cool, or icy, not the hot one. And again, to prepare smoothies with low acid fruits like banana, peaches, melons, etc., to be taken. Also, the liquids to be taken with a straw, because one can go past the painful parts of the mouth, or even use of smaller spoon to have smaller bites, which may be easier to chew. And of course, to regularly assess the sores or white patches or red areas so that we know that it is getting better or is it not getting better, so that if any medication is to be prescribed by the physician and if the patient is following those particular diet or not. And for these patients, again, as I said, any sharp object, toothpicks, alcoholic drinks, sharp, crunchy foods, raw vegetables, very spicy, salty foods to be avoided. So oral mucositis is one of the common complications of chemotherapy, and it is very, very difficult, very painful for the patient many times, and it causes poor quality of life for the patients receiving chemotherapy. And as mentioned earlier, that it is said to be from the Ayurvedic perspective because of the increased pitta dosha. So in the scriptures, it is mentioned to do gargle with the kalka churna and water and honey, which is indicated for such problems. And also excess of pitta dosha is there. So pitta pacifying diet could be advised to these patients as well. Another important side effect of the therapy is taste and smell changes. Again, we need to keep it in mind that this impacts the intake of the food and in turn the overall calorie protein intake of the food. So we do suggest that the patient chooses non-meat protein sources, eats food which does not have a very strong smell. Cold foods may be better, and also experiment with different flavorings as well, depending on what is tolerated by the patient. Use of plastic utensils if metallic taste is there. Use of certain herbs and herbs which can mask the altered taste. And also if certain smell is there, which is causing them not to eat. So keep away from the cooking so that the smell which may put off. Also, there could be various ways to manage loss of taste or off taste. Then the patient could have overly sweet taste. So in those, we tell them to have more vegetables, more dilute juices, or add vinegar, citrus to reduce the sweetness. Sometimes they feel it is very salty. So in that, we tell them to have sodium-free seasoning. They could have a metallic taste. In that, we tell them to avoid using metal as utensils, but could use plastic or silicone or wooden containers instead of the metal containers. And again, drink sweet or sour beverages, eat fresh and dried foods, and add sweetness to the food with a pinch of sugar, honey, or maple syrup. For smell changes, again, cooking or cook outdoors, avoid strong odors. That needs to be avoided. Then we also have another nutrition-related digestive problem like diarrhea and constipation in these patients with chemotherapy. Diarrhea, again, we know that fluid is definitely the core cornerstone for hydrating the patient. It could be taken in any form, whether light, green tea. We usually say to avoid milk because sometimes that helps, and instead can have matha or soya drink, and also to take in between the meals. Avoiding of high fiber foods, avoiding sugar, alcoholic containing foods, avoiding strong curry with spices, avoiding coarse indigestible foods, and taking one new food at a time so that one knows what is tolerated by the patient. In Ayurveda, this condition is identified as Atisara, and again, treatment remedy mentioned in Ayurveda is the pepper powder with honey or buttermilk with powder of chitkara has potential to cure all kind of diarrheas. Also, Brahmi and Jatfal, that is nutmeg, are other herbs that have been proven to be having anti-diarrheal properties. Coming to constipation, as Dr. Reena had also mentioned, increasing intake of high fiber foods, consuming adequate fluids, using probiotic containing fluids or foods, including physical activity, and also scheduling time to facilitate the bowel movement is very, very important. Certain foods like prune juice, figs, oats, but it is important that fluid is also increased simultaneously. As per according to Ayurveda, again, increased pitta aggravates vata, which leads to drying up of the colon and constipation. So castor oil with decoction of triphala with milk or meat soup is indicated in constipation. And in another study, again, triphala, isabgol has been mentioned for constipation. So it is important that we provide the right kind of counseling tips to the patients depending on the various kind of side effects they may be having in their course of chemotherapy. Sometimes, despite the best efforts, they're not able to eat enough. So during this phase, maybe an enteral or parenteral nutrition is the option, because we want them to be nourished. Because staying nourished is very important, because it helps them the chance of receiving the treatment without unplanned breaks. So it has to be an individualized recommendation, again, based on the cancer site, treatment plan, clinical history, what are the nutritional side effects. So that whole team and the registered dietitian needs to be consulted. Also, different cancers have different requirements as well. So in the end, I would just like to mention that the key points about nutrition care in cancer patient is assessment is crucial, because a thorough nutrition assessment is very vital to identify the potential issues like malnutrition, dietary restriction, or any swallowing difficulties. Secondly, to know their requirement. Maintaining adequate calorie and sufficient protein is very, very crucial to combat the muscle wasting caused by cancer and treatment leading to cancer cachexia. Thirdly is the dietary modification. So frequent small meals, bland foods, hydration is very, very important. Nutrient-dense foods to support the overall health. Also, to address the side effects of the therapy, be it nausea, vomiting, be it mouth sores, or taste alterations. Supplements could be recommended only. We do not say that it should be a regular feature, but if the intake is poor, so in that case, we do suggest certain protein supplements. And multidisciplinary approach is required between oncologist, dietitian, psychologist, nurses, the healthcare professionals, so that a comprehensive treatment plan along with a nutritional plan is given to the patient. Thank you so much for your kind listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Alka Mohan. And Dr. Alka Mohan, besides being, of course, a fantastic professional researcher and former chief of All India Institute of Medical Sciences Dietetics Department, is also someone who teaches very well. And we have the honor of having her as one of our faculty, because today I think everybody needs to know nutrition as a science, and this has it not only helps you to manage diseases, but also helps you to prevent diseases. And that's why I think nutrition is a very, very fundamental science. And with that, thank you so much, Dr. Alka. Thank you always being generous with your time and giving your time whenever we have asked for. And with that, I would request you to stay on, because we have a fantastic session coming on. I'd like to introduce, can we have the slide, please, Kanika?
Sure, ma'am.
सो इट इज माई प्लेजर कि मैं आपके सम्मुख योगाचार्य मनीष गुप्ता जी को इंट्रोड्यूस करना चाहती हूँ। योगाचार्य मनीष गुप्ता जी का जो इंट्रोडक्शन हुआ मुझे, वो एक इंडिया के एक जाने माने सेलिब्रेटेड, आप कह सकते हैं बहुत लव्ड पर्सन के थ्रू हुआ, जो इनसे ब्रीदिंग और योग सीख रहे हैं। बट जो मुझे उन्होंने ये बताया कि ये योगाचार्य जी, मनीष जी बहुत ही स्पेशल हैं, क्योंकि जो इनकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग है ब्रीदिंग के बारे में, ब्रेथ वर्क के बारे में, और एक यूनिक हीलिंग जो होती है ब्रेथ वर्क से, और जिस तरह से उसकी इम्पोर्टेंस है, वो उसके बारे में ये बताएंगे। और मुझे ताज्जुब क्यों हुआ ये सुन के, क्योंकि जस्ट उससे पहले मैं कुछ साइंटिफिक लिटरेचर पढ़ रही थी, जिसमें एक चीज लिखी गई थी कि अगर इंसान 30 डेज कुछ भोजन ग्रहण ना करे तो उसकी मृत्यु हो जाती है। अगर सिर्फ सिर्फ 3 दिन इंसान पानी ग्रहण ना करे तो उसकी मृत्यु होती है, और अगर सिर्फ 3 मिनट सांस ना ले पाए तो उसकी मृत्यु हो जाती है। यानी सांसों का जो हमारे जीवन में रोल है इतना क्रिटिकल है। और दुख की बात यह है कि बचपन से लेके आज तक हमें सही से सांसों की वैल्यू और सांसों का सही तरीका ब्रीथ करने का और ब्रेथ वर्क एज अ ट्रीटमेंट भी नहीं पता है। तो आई वुड से कि ये बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट सेशन है। तो जो लोग अभी तक हैं, आई वुड से कि आपका लंच थोड़ा डिले होगा, उसके लिए मैं क्षमा मांगती हूँ, मगर ये तो बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट सेशन है विच nobody should miss. So योगाचार्य जी, you're most welcome to the dais, and it's all yours, and sorry for the delay.
No issue. नमस्ते जी को। तो नमस्ते सभी को, धन्यवाद शिखा जी। और अभी तक 13 इयर्स से मैंने ब्रीदिंग स्टार्ट कर दी थी, प्राणायाम घंटों घंटों करना शुरू कर दिया था, जिसके कारण इसका जो इम्पैक्ट है, जितने भी बड़े बड़े महापुरुष कहते आए हैं, जितने भी चीजें हमारे पिछले 2 दशकों में सामने आई हैं कि प्राणायाम से ये ठीक हो गया, वो क्योर हो गया, तो वो चीज का कंप्लीट एक्सपीरियंस और कई सारे डिजीजेस में सेलुलर सेल्स को रिजुविनेट करने के एक्सपीरियंस, क्योंकि ये चीज अभी आई है कि योग से ठीक होते हैं या फिर ब्रीदिंग से ठीक होते हैं, लेकिन उसमें उसका पूरा दर्शन मुझे है, मैंने किया है, फिर मैंने कई सारे लोगों को कराया, तो फिर उसमें काफी फास्ट रिजल्ट्स आए। तो वही एक्सपीरियंस मैं आपको शेयर करता हूँ। मेरा बिलीव ये है कि जिस प्रकार 2 सेल्स मिल के पूरे शरीर को बना देते हैं, जब स्टार्टिंग, जब इन्फेंट बनता है, बेबी बनता है, पूरा शरीर बनने लग जाता है, तो हम अगर रिजुविनेशन एक एक सेल्स में अगर कर दें, ऑक्सीजन की हाई प्राणायाम के अभ्यास से 10-20 गुना ज्यादा ऑक्सीजन लेवल बढ़ा के, अलग अलग डिफरेंट डिफरेंट प्रैक्टिस करके, तो प्राणायाम तो एक ऐसी डिवाइन घटना है किसी के जीवन में जो अच्छे से प्राणायाम को कर ले। क्यों? क्योंकि हमेशा हमारे चारों तरफ हमें मन को चलाने की बातें, सारी इंफॉर्मेशंस, तो प्राणायाम अच्छे से करते ही हमारा मन रुकने लग जाता है। तो मन और प्राणायाम दोनों एक चीज रह पाएगी। तो अच्छे से जब मेडिटेटिवली प्राणायाम, तो जीरो थॉट की स्टेट में आएंगे। तो जब हमारा 24 घंटे मन चल रहा है, इतने हजारों थॉट्स जो चल रहे हैं, उसको जैसे ही स्लो डाउन करते हैं, तो एक तो हमें वहां से एनर्जी का कंजर्वेशन स्टार्ट हो जाता है। जो डेली लाइफ में हम एनर्जी और हम खाना खाते हैं, तो जो एनर्जी हमारी बनती है और हमारी सारे ऑर्गन्स को चलाने के लिए, पूरे मेटाबॉलिज्म को चलाने के लिए जो यूज होती है, उसमें से कितनी ज्यादा परसेंटेज हमारे थॉट्स और सबकॉन्शियसली वो पीछे के जो सुख दुख हैं और वो सारे पैटर्न्स हैं, उनको 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 चलाने के लिए यूज होती है। तो हम जैसे ही प्राणायाम का अभ्यास और योग का अभ्यास करने लग जाते हैं, सिंपल सिंपल स्ट्रेचेस, तो उससे क्या होता है कि एक तो वो वाली एनर्जी, हमें जो थॉट्स हमने रोक दिए, थॉट्स स्लो डाउन कर दिए, एक तो वो हमें हमारी कोई से भी डिजीज के और कैंसर ट्रीटमेंट के लिए फायदेमंद हो जाती है, होने स्टार्ट हो जाती है। और दूसरा, जैसे ही हम लंबी अपनी एक एक चीज और है कि हम पूरे लाइफ स्पैन अपनी एक लिमिटेड लंग्स कैपेसिटी यूज कर पाते हैं। तो प्राणायाम के अलग अलग अभ्यास से और किसी के साथ बैठ के हम उसको चैलेंज करके धीरे धीरे लंग्स कैपेसिटी जैसे बढ़ाते हैं, तो 1 मिनट में आप जितनी नॉर्मल एक एक ब्लड हार्ट के थ्रू जो ब्लड सर्कुलेट हो रहा है पूरी बॉडी में, तो जैसे ही आपने लंबी गहरी सांसें लेनी शुरू कर दी, उससे क्या होता है कि अ, कई टाइम्स ज्यादा हमारे अंदर पूरे शरीर में एट दैट टाइम ऑक्सीजनेशन सप्लाई होने लग जाता है। तो एक तो हमें ये देखना है कि हमने ऑक्सीजन का सप्लाई बढ़ा दिया, 10 to 20 टाइम्स ज्यादा उसको कर दिया। तो जितनी ज्यादा हम ऑक्सीजनेशन शरीर में बढ़ाते चले जाते हैं, और कोई सी भी डिजीज इसलिए होती है क्योंकि उस पर्टिकुलर ऑर्गन्स, उस पर्टिकुलर, जैसे हमें आई साइट कमजोर हो गई, आंखों पे चश्मा लग गया, बाल कमजोर हो गए, बाल गिरने लग गए, पूरा शरीर सेल से बना है। हमने क्या कर दिया कि धीरे धीरे अभ्यास करके कि एक अपनी नेचुरल टेंडेंसी बढ़ा दी कि मेटाबॉलिज्म को एक्स्ट्रा ऑक्सीजनेशन से हम उसको बढ़ा देते हैं। तो मेरे पास एक एग्जांपल है, कई सारे जो मैं तो ऑनलाइन सेशन ही करा रहा हूँ काफी सालों से, जब से कोविड आया है। तो काफी लोगों को हमने किसी के रेड फ्लैग्स हो गई या कैंसरस सिस्ट हो गई, कुछ भी है, उन्होंने हमसे सिर्फ हेल्दी रहने के लिए किया योग। और उनके एक एग्जांपल है जिसमें जिनकी सर्जरी होनी थी 2-3 हफ्ते के बाद, और उन्होंने क्या किया कि जस्ट स्ट्रेस फ्री रहने के लिए कि भाई डॉक्टर ने बोल दिया कि यूट्रस निकालना है, ओवरी निकालना है, कैंसर सिस्ट है तो वो निकालना पड़ेगा। उन्होंने स्ट्रेस फ्री होने के लिए मेरे से 2-3 हफ्ते 2 हफ्ते थे, 3 हफ्ते थे, एग्जैक्ट याद नहीं है, पिछले साल की बात है। तो हमने उनका सेशन स्टार्ट किया, उनकी एनर्जी लेवल मैंने परसीव करके उनको सारी एक्सरसाइजेस और ब्रीदिंग ऑक्सीजनेशन बढ़ाना स्टार्ट कर दिया धीरे धीरे। तो क्या हुआ कि थोड़ा सा डिले होता गया कि भाई न्यू ईयर आ गया, 1 महीने तक हमें मिल गया। तो जैसे ही हम वो एमआरआई के लिए डॉक्टर्स के पास गए, मैक्स के हॉस्पिटल के डॉक्टर्स के पास, तो उन्होंने जब टेस्टिंग की तो उन्होंने देख लिया कि नो नीड फॉर सर्जरी, जिस चीज के लिए हम सर्जरी करने हैं वो चीज हमें रिपोर्ट्स में नहीं दिख रही और आप 2 महीने बाद आना। तो ऐसा तो मेरे लिए भी बहुत कॉन्फिडेंट हुआ कि हमने तो सिर्फ स्ट्रेस फ्री होने के लिए लगाई, पहला केस था मेरा। तो फिर कॉन्फिडेंस आ गया। और बचपन से लेकर जब 18 साल की उम्र से लेकर मैं योग और ब्रीदिंग के साथ जुड़ा हुआ हूँ, तो मैंने स्किन सेल्स पे, एक्जिमा रिवर्सल्स, आई साइट, ओवरऑल बॉडी पे जितनी भी बीमारियां हम बोल सकते हैं उन सब पे मैंने बहुत पॉजिटिव रिजल्ट्स देखे हैं। बस फर्क इतना है क्योंकि बहुत बड़े बड़े महापुरुषों ने हमारे देश में, पूरी दुनिया में अलग अलग टाइप की क्रियाएं, अलग अलग टाइप के टीचिंग से सर्टेन लेवल की चीजें स्प्रेड कर दी हैं। तो फिर क्या होता है कि कोई प्राणायाम सीखने जाता है तो कोई बोलते हैं कि बहुत धीरे धीरे सांस लो, कोई बोलते हैं कि बहुत तेज तेज सांस लो, ऐसे नहीं करना चाहिए, ये गलत है। गलत सही में ऐसे फंसा दिया कि उस चीज का सही तरीके से इस्तेमाल करना अभी नहीं आ पाया, जिससे बहुत ज्यादा लोग इस चीज पे एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है जो चीजें मैंने एक्सपीरियंस की अपनी लाइफ में। डॉक्टर शिखा जी भी पिछले 3-4 महीने से रेगुलर एवरीडे मेरे साथ जुड़ती हैं, 1 घंटा सेशन करते हैं। ऐसे करके लिमिटेड लोग हैं, ज्यादा ज्यादा लोगों को नहीं जानते हैं मुझे, लेकिन जितने भी लोग मेरे पास आए, एक एक महीने में मैंने डिप्रेशन की गोलियां, एंजाइटी की गोलियां विद इन, और उनके सारे टेस्टिमोनियल्स मैंने बनाए और उनको मैंने इंस्टाग्राम पे डाला अपने। तो इस प्रकार से बहुत फास्ट रिजल्ट। तो हम देखते हैं कि कैसे हम थोड़ा सा ट्राई करते हैं कि क्या है ये ब्रीदिंग, आपने पहले भी की होगी, थोड़ा सा अच्छे से एक साथ करने की कोशिश करते हैं। और मेरी कुछ अप्रोचेस जो जीरो थॉट के लेवल पे है कि हम, अभी मैंने थोड़ी देर पहले बोला था कि थॉट्स को हम जीरो कैसे कर सकें, तो वो सारा एक्सपीरियंस करने की कोशिश करते हैं 5-10 मिनट में। अब बाकी तो बहुत सारी इंफॉर्मेशन हमें हमारे पास है, बहुत सारा ज्ञान ऑलरेडी हमारे पास आ चुका है, क्या खाना चाहिए, क्या नहीं खाना चाहिए, कैसे। लेकिन ना क्या होता है कि एक एक ह्यूमन माइंड, एक जो कंडीशनिंग और जो पैटर्न और जो फियरफुल स्ट्रेस वाला पैटर्न है, वो बात सुन के एकदम हमने कह दिया, किसी काउंसलर ने, किसी डॉक्टर ने कह दिया कि ऐसे करो वैसे करो, तो वो फियर वाला हमेशा रहता है। सिर्फ और सिर्फ ब्रीदिंग और मेडिटेशन अच्छे से सेशन कोई कर ले तो सीधा शिफ्ट हो जाता है हमारा किस चीज में, एंड गुड हार्मोन सिक्रीशन होने लग जाएंगे इंस्टेंट। तो हमें ये समझना है कि इसको एज अ मेडिसिन, प्राणायाम को, ब्रीदिंग को एज अ मेडिसिन एक्सेप्ट करके इसकी अवेयरनेस को हम इतना ज्यादा यूज कर सकते हैं, इतने फास्ट रिजल्ट्स आएंगे। तो ये आप लोगों को अपने आप माइंड में याद रखना है सारी चीज के साथ साथ। और अभी देखो, जैसे 2 मिनट की बात की, 10 मिनट की बात की, मैं आपको बोलता हूँ जब तक प्राणायाम को के अभ्यास को हम 5 मिनट, 10 मिनट, आधा एक घंटे तक नहीं पहुंचा पाएंगे, धीरे धीरे करके वो चीज प्रैक्टिकली एक बार किसी एक्सपर्ट के साथ हमने क्या कर लिया, एक्सपीरियंस कर लिया, देन वी कैन कंटिन्यू। अभी मैं एक रिसेंट एग्जांपल बता रहा हूँ कि 1.5 महीने पहले एक रशीदा जी हमारी मुंबई से मेरे सेशन को उन्होंने किया। मैंने उनको इलाज बताया कि देखो 1 घंटे तो मैंने जो जो प्रैक्टिसेस कराई, फिर उनका नी प्रॉब्लम था। मैं जस्ट एक एग्जांपल देता हूँ कि उनकी स्वेलिंग, नी, इतना दर्द, 60 साल की उम्र, सिर्फ उन्हीं ने मैंने बोला कि एक एक घंटा ये प्राणायाम करो अलग से। 2 घंटे उन्होंने प्राणायाम किए, विद इन अ मंथ 85% उनका नी पेन जा चुका था। 1.5 महीने के बाद उनको मैंने सेशन में थोड़ी सी एक्सरसाइज रिग्रेस भी कराई दूसरे की तरह, और वो कर पाई। मैं ये बोल देता हूँ कि जिसको प्रॉब्लम है वो ये फास्ट एक्सरसाइज नहीं करते हैं, क्योंकि तो मुझे एक कॉन्फिडेंस इसमें भी आया कि देखो इन्होंने थोड़ा सा ज्यादा आवर्स दिए, घंटों घंटों दिए प्राणायाम को, तो इन्होंने क्या कर लिया, अपना नी की प्रॉब्लम ठीक कर ली। तो बस इन सारी चीजों को बोल के कि आपकी आंख की रोशनी से लेकर आपकी एज बढ़ने के कारण जो बोन मिनरल डेंसिटी, मसल्स डेंसिटी भी जो डाउन जा रही है, जो एजिंग फैक्टर हो रहा है, उन सबको भी हम अगर अच्छे से योग प्राणायाम स्ट्रेचेस वगैरह करने लग गए, 1 घंटा हमने देना शुरू कर दिया एवरीडे, तो क्या होगा कि आपकी हेल्दी एज बढ़नी शुरू हो जाएगी। अब हेल्दी एज में करोगे क्या, आप 10-20 साल एक्स्ट्रा मिल जाएंगे, तो करोगे क्या, तब हम स्पिरिचुअली जो 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 हमें थॉट्स के साथ और अपनी आइडेंटिटी के साथ कि हम ये हैं, उसके परे जाने के लिए टाइम मिल जाएगा, जहाँ पे हम मेडिटेशन करके अपनी स्पिरिचुअल आनंद को बढ़ा सके, अपनी स्पिरिचुअल और जितना भी इस संसार में हमने सीखा उसको डीलर्न करके एक हायर लेवल की एनर्जी को और एक्सपीरियंस कर सकें अपने अंदर ही, कि हम क्या हैं। वो जो कल एक सर बता रहे थे कि व्हाट वी आर सोल और व्हाट, तो हमें वो टाइम मिल जाएगा। अभी सफरिंग इतनी है कि, तो इस वजह से चलो उसको शुरू करते हैं। आंख बंद कर लीजिए सभी, आंखों को बंद कर लीजिए, एकदम मन शांत। और जो जो पैनलिस्ट हैं वो अपना कैमरा ऑफ ऑन कर सकते हैं ताकि मैं उन पर फोकस करके 5 मिनट। शिखा जी आप कर लीजिए आंखें बंद। सांसों पर ध्यान ले जाएंगे। अभी आप चेक करिए कि नॉर्मल जो ब्रीदिंग जा रही है, पूरा ध्यान अपनी सांसों पर लेके आएंगे। फिर एक लंबी गहरी सांस लेंगे, लंबी सांस अंदर, रोक लेंगे सांस अंदर मिनिमम 10 सेकेंड्स। धीरे से छोड़ देंगे। फिर एक लंबी गहरी सांस लेंगे, एक्सेल, सांस बाहर छोड़ के बाहर रोक देंगे। मिनिमम 10 सेकेंड्स। आंखें लगातार बंद रखिए, मेरी आवाज को सुनते रहेंगे। हर एक स्टेप पे मैं आपको टास्क देता जाऊंगा ब्रेथ का। आप क्या करेंगे, जितनी भी सांस आप ले सकते हैं आसानी से, उसमें 2-3 सेकंड एक्स्ट्रा पुल करने की कोशिश करेंगे, और जितनी भी आप छोड़ सकते हैं आराम से, उसमें 2-3 सेकंड एक्स्ट्रा लास्ट में पुश करने की कोशिश करेंगे मेरे साथ। एक लंबी गहरी सांस भरिए, लास्ट में पुल करिए, खींचो, होल्ड कर लो, रिलैक्स, पूरा छोड़ दीजिए, पुश करिए, खाली करो। अब लंबी सांस अंदर, एक्सेल, ब्रीद इन, एक्सेल। अब इसको हम 20 टाइम्स एक साथ करेंगे और 20 टाइम्स के बाद सांस अंदर रोक लेंगे। बिल्कुल जब मैं बोलूंगा तभी सांस लेनी है, जब मैं बोलूंगा तभी सांस छोड़नी है। और अगर आपकी सांस उतनी लंबी नहीं ली जाती तो आप क्या करेंगे, होल्ड करेंगे, और जब मेरी कमांड आएगी कि आपको सांस बाहर छोड़ना है तभी आप छोड़ेंगे। धीरे धीरे सांस अंदर, धीरे धीरे सांस बाहर, जैसे लास्ट में पुश और पुल करना है वो मैंने बता दिया आपको। धीरे धीरे सांस अंदर, एक्सेल, 'ब्रीद इन', एक्सेल, 5 से 6 सेकंड में ले रहे हैं, 5 से 6 सेकंड में छोड़ रहे हैं। इनहेल, अगर सांस लेना भी नहीं है तो आंखें बंद रखना बस। एक्सेल, इनहेल, एक्सेल, ब्रीद इन, एक्सेल, इनहेल, एक्सेल। आंखें बंद रखिए, मोड्स को चेंज करते जाएंगे ब्रीदिंग की। 7 बार हमने कर लिया, अभी थोड़ा सा स्पीड बढ़ाएंगे। एक्सेल, ब्रीद इन, 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 एक्सेल। सांस अंदर, एक्सेल, अब थोड़ा सा तेज 10 बार। आंखें बंद रखिए, कानों में आवाज आ जाए सांस की तो उसके हिसाब से फॉलो करने की कोशिश करो। पूरी सांस भर के सांस अंदर रोको, होल्ड, चिन लॉक लगा लेंगे, चिन टू चेस्ट, आइज क्लोज, कीप आइज क्लोज। हार्ट बीट्स को नॉर्मल होने देंगे। हो सकता है आपने पहले ही सांस छोड़ दी, तो कोई बात नहीं, आंखें बंद रखने के लिए बोल रहा हूं मैं आपको। शांत। अब 2 मिनट के लिए कुछ ना सोचने की कोशिश करो। बहुत सारे थॉट आएंगे, लेकिन आपको ये जानना है कि आपका मन चल रहा है। इसको ऑब्जर्व करने की कोशिश करिए। आपके शरीर में कहीं दर्दें हो रही हैं, आपकी आंखों में थकान है स्क्रीन देखते देखते, या फिर कुछ भी और। इन सारी चीजों को एक साथ ऑब्जर्व करके मुझे कुछ सेकंड्स के लिए बिना विचार के रहने के लिए बोला गया है। ब्रेन सेल्स के भारीपन को महसूस करिए। नो थॉट्स। आएंगे थॉट्स, बट ऑब्जर्व दैट थॉट्स आर कमिंग। अवेयरनेस करिए उसके प्रति। शरीर में जो भी वाइब्रेशन हो रही है, बार बार जीरो थॉट, जीरो थॉट। जो मैंने एक बहुत बड़ी बात बताई थी अभी, कि सबकॉन्शियसली बहुत नीचे तक हमारी एनर्जी कंज्यूम्ड रहती है, और हमारे अंदर एक डिवाइन पावर्स हैं, वो सारी की सारी दबी रह जाती हैं। और जैसे हमने पास्ट को क्लीन करके प्रेजेंस में इन प्रैक्टिसेस को करके अपने माइंड को क्लीन करना सीख लिया, तो एक फियर डिलीट होने लग जाता है, जो बैक टू बैक हमारी लाइफ में चलता रहता है। दोनों हाथों को आपस में रगड़िए जोर से। थोड़ी देर आंखों पे रखिए। धीरे धीरे चेहरे की मसाज करिए, बालों की मसाज, कानों की मसाज, गर्दन की मसाज। जमीन की तरफ देखिए। आंखें खोल के स्क्रीन में नहीं देखना, जमीन पे देखना है, नीचे। थोड़ी सी आंखों की एक्सरसाइज करिए, जोर से आंख बंद करिए, खोलिए, बंद करिए, खोलिए, नीचे की तरफ देखते हुए। फिर जमीन पे देखते हुए बहुत बड़ी आंखें कर लीजिए, बहुत बड़ी तरीके से खोलो उन आंखों को, पूरी पलकों को बहुत बड़ा करके। धीरे से गर्दन सीधी कर लेंगे। तो मेरी लाइफ में जितने भी कैंसरस रिलेट, मैंने ज़्यादा चीज़ें बाहर की जो चीज़ें हुई हैं लाइफ में, एक्सपीरियंस, एक्सपर्टीज, वो सारी मैंने ग्रेजुएशन और मास्टर्स पतंजलि योगपीठ से किया। तो वहाँ पे लाइव देखता था कि कैसे लोग ठीक हो रहे हैं। वो सारी चीज़ें मैंने गहराई से समझने की कोशिश करी, और फिर केवल अपनी घंटों घंटों प्रैक्टिस करी, 5-5 घंटे में पिछले 15 साल से, सॉरी 15-18 साल से, 13 साल की उम्र से मैं करता आ रहा हूँ। तो वो चीज़ें इंस्टॉल हो गई, जो इन चीज़ों वो बातें इंस्टॉल हो गई अंदर, वो परसेप्शन आ गई। तो मैंने वो देखा कि कैंसर सेल्स, मतलब कैंसर के जो लोग हुए हैं उसमें मेजर मेरी लाइफ में है तो बहुत सारे फैक्टर। मेरी लाइफ में फैक्टर था स्ट्रेस। जैसे ही लोगों के जीवन में स्ट्रेस और फियर बढ़ा, जो मेरे पास थे, जितने भी 4-5 लोग थे, स्ट्रेस स्ट्रेस और अनहेल्दी लाइफस्टाइल, ये बहुत ज्यादा है। मतलब आप ये सोच लो कि अगर आप अपने स्ट्रेस पे काम नहीं कर रहे ना, और अपने आप को डरा के रख रहे हो, तो कोई ना कोई तो ये एकदम फियर है, हमारे ऑर्गन्स पर डायरेक्ट असर करता है। और थोड़े से टॉक्सिन्स कारण और अनहेल्दी लाइफस्टाइल के कारण मैंने जिम करे करे, लोग बहुत अच्छी एक्सरसाइज करे करे, लोगों को ये सिस्ट और ये सारी चीजें 40+ होते ही, 50+ होते ही, आपको पता है सिस्ट वाली चीजें बहुत बढ़ रही हैं। तो ये चीज मैंने देखी है। तो इसलिए हमें स्ट्रेस को थोड़ा काम करना चाहिए, और बाकी जिसको भी कुछ पूछना है वो पूछ सकते हैं। थैंक यू।
थैंक यू योगाचार्य जी। और जैसे कि आपने कहा कि स्ट्रेस और प्राणायाम, तो अगर आप थोड़ा सा एक्सप्लेन कर दें कि प्राणायाम स्ट्रेस को कैसे कम करता है, या क्या उसका ताल्लुक है, क्या रिलेशनशिप है?
हाँ, तो क्या होता है ना कि जैसे ही आप अभी के अभी प्रैक्टिकली फील करो कि स्ट्रेस में आप फियर वाली स्टेट में, स्ट्रेस एक पॉजिटिव स्ट्रेस भी होता है जो लाइफ बिल्डिंग और काम करने की काम आता है। जैसे मान लो ऑफिस वाला वर्क स्ट्रेस, जिसमें हम अपने आप को पुश करते हैं और हम काम को कर पाते हैं, कोई से भी काम को, और डर को, क्योंकि आप देख लो 90% से भी ज्यादा लोग जब ऑफिस से निकलते हैं या कोई भी मीटिंग होती है, कुछ भी होती है, तो वो एक प्रकार का सॉफ्ट स्ट्रेस होता है जो हमें बेड से उठा रहा होता है और बहुत सारी चीजें। तो हम तो उसी के सारे जीवन जी रहे हैं, है ना, कि हमें। लेकिन जब फियरफुल स्ट्रेस आ जाता है ना, इसमें डिफरेंस है। फियरफुल, जब डर लगने वाला स्ट्रेस आ जाता है और हमने अपने आप को इतना ज्यादा कम डर रहे होते हैं और हमारे पास सॉल्यूशन नहीं दिख रहा होता, तो उसकी बार बार मल्टीपल लेयर्स हम अपने आप को कर लेते हैं। तो ये तो मैंने क्या बताया, फील कराया कि विच स्ट्रेस, विच टाइप ऑफ कंडीशन आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट। पहले तो ये हमने फील करा दिया कि वो वाला। अब जैसे ही आपने एक एक सांस लेना शुरू किया, तो जैसे मैंने अभी एक्सप्लेन किया था कि एक एक बॉडी के एक एक सेल्स तक ऑक्सीजन इंस्टेंट जाता है प्राणायाम करने से, लेकिन ब्रेन सेल्स में भी जा रहा है, ब्रेन सेल्स में जा रहा है। कोई सी भी जो हमारा एक सेकंड, अगला सेकंड जो ह्यूमन बॉडी का या माइंड का जो हमारा अगला समय आ रहा है ना, वो पिछली वाली मेमोरी के अकॉर्डिंग आ रहा है, कि पिछले जो भी कंडीशनिंग और मेमोरी और हमें हमारी एक सेलुलर लेवल पे है। जैसे ही हमने ऑक्सीजन का लेवल बढ़ा दिया और एक एक सेल्स को 20 टाइम्स ज्यादा ऑक्सीजन मिलने से 20 टाइम्स ज्यादा एट इंस्टेंट एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस हो रही है, तो वो एक्स्ट्रा एनर्जी क्या करती है कि पिछली जितनी भी कंडीशनिंग है, जिसमें अनहेल्दी कंडीशनिंग है, कैंसर सेल्स इज इनडिसिप्लिन वे ग्रो, इनडिसिप्लिन वे में सेल्स का ग्रोथ होना और डिस्टरबेंस हो जाना। एक लाइफ मिली थी हमें जहाँ पे किसी भी फैक्टर के कारण वहां पे एक गलत डायरेक्शन में प्रोग्रामिंग स्टार्ट हो रही है, उसमें दूसरी भी डिजीज है, ऑटोइम्यून डिजीजेज है, बहुत सारी डिजीजेज हैं। तो वहां पे जो एक्स्ट्रा एनर्जी हमने पहुंचा दी, तो एक सोच लेवल पे जितना भी हम पिछला हम कैरी कर रहे आते हैं, करते ही अब वो साइंटिफिकली हमें केमिकली रिसर्च करके वो सारी चीजें अगर किसी को जानने की क्या हो रहा है, तो वो बहुत लोगों ने की हुई है कि कैसे ब्रीदिंग किया और उसमें कौन से फैक्टर, कौन से एंजाइम्स, कौन सा केमिकल रिएक्शन कहाँ पे ब्रेन सेल्स के अंदर हो रहा है, वो सेलुलर, वो तो डायरेक्ट वहां से पता चलेगा कि कौन कौन से हमें टर्म्स यूज करने होते हैं। लेकिन आप करते ही जैसे ही आपने ब्रीदिंग की, ब्रेन सेल्स को ऑक्सीजन मिली और आप ये रियलाइज करेंगे कि पॉजिटिव थिंकिंग और पॉजिटिव चीजें हमारे अंदर सोच में आने लग जाती हैं। डर का फैक्टर भी धीरे धीरे, अगर लगातार प्रैक्टिस करें, जो दिल में दर्द डर बना के बैठे होते हैं हम, वो चीजें भी इंस्टेंट ही हमें फील होने लग जाती हैं। तो कैसे हो जाती हैं वो चीज, फील करके, एक्सपीरियंस करके हमें तुरंत पता चल जाता है। और वही बात है कि हम ज्यादा से ज्यादा ऑक्सीजन एक एक सेल्स में, ब्रेन सेल्स में पहुंचा देते हैं। तो आपको यही देखना है कि हमेशा मैं एक चीज बोलता हूँ कि एक प्रॉब्लम है और हम हैं। हमने अपने आप को 100 टाइम्स ज्यादा पावरफुल बना दिया, अपने माइंड को पावरफुल बना दिया, अपनी एक एक सेल्स को बना दिया। प्रॉब्लम ने इतनी जल्दी अपने आप को पावरफुल नहीं बनाया, है ना। एक एक सर्टेन सिचुएशन आ गई, वो वैसी है। तो इसलिए क्या होता है कि कुछ लोग अपने आप को इतना पावरफुल बना के रखते हैं अपनी प्रैक्टिस से, अपनी लाइफ जी के, इतना अपनी उस अपनी पूरी जीवन से। तो वो फिर वो इतना भी पावरफुल बन जाते हैं कि फ्यूचर में भी जो होना है वो उनके अकॉर्डिंग, उनके ब्रेन में जो इंट्यूशन आए वो क्रिएट कर देते हैं पूरे वर्ल्ड में, बड़े बड़े इवेंट्स, बड़ी बड़ी चीजें। तो ये सब हमारे माइंड की चीजें।
जैसे आपने आप बताते भी हैं विजुअलाइजेशन करना, और जैसे कि आजकल बहुत बात होती है कि आप अपने को विजुअलाइज करिए, उसको आप लिखिए। तो आप ये कह रहे हैं कि अगर हम अपनी ब्रीदिंग ठीक कर लें, तो जो भी हम विजुअलाइजेशन करते हैं, जो भी हम अपने गोल्स को लिखते हैं, वो ज्यादा से ज्यादा साकार हो सकते हैं, बिकॉज हमारा माइंड ज्यादा फोकस्ड है। क्या ये आप कोरिलेशन बता रहे हैं?
जी, क्या होता है कि एक एक सर्टेन ब्रीदिंग और योग एज अ कैटलिस्ट बोला जाता है हमारी लाइफ में, बहुत पावरफुल हमें पूरा जीवन जो मिला होता है कुछ एक्सपीरियंस चीजें करके अपने आप को संसार में कुछ समझ के फिर उसके लिए तो जब हम योग और प्राणायाम पिछले सालों से हजारों सालों से बीमारियों को दूर करने के लिए नहीं फेमस था। वो तो एक आध्यात्मिक उन्नति के लिए योग की क्रियाएं फेमस थी। लेकिन इसमें इतनी वो तो अब मैं मेन बात बताता हूँ कि जो चीज हम पूरे जीवन में और हजारों मतलब जितने सैकड़ों जीवन में हजारों जीवन में अनुभव करने वाले होते हैं, ये हमारे अंदर इतनी पोटेंशियल डेवलप हो जाता है इन इन चीजों को करने से कि वो जो चीज आप 10 साल में एक्सपीरियंस करके ग्रो और मैच्योर होने वाली बात है वो आप कुछ महीने में और कुछ सालों में हो जाते हो। तो वो चीज फास्ट हो जाती है। तो जब फास्ट वाली चीज अगर हो रही है तो कुछ ना कुछ तो दिमाग में हो रहा है। आपकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग फास्ट हो गई। आपकी आपकी जो आप एक एनर्जी से जितने डेवलप हो गए, हम जो भी काम बाहर कर पाते हैं, हम कितने ज्यादा अंदर से डेवलप और कॉन्फिडेंट होते हैं, वो चीज ये ब्रीदिंग वगैरह योग इंक्रीज कर देता है। तो चाहे कोई भी बच्चा हो जो सुबह से जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं स्टूडेंट लाइफ में या कुछ भी वो इस चीज को यूज करते हैं तो उनकी उनकी मेमोरी और उनकी कंसंट्रेशन उनका जो गट है वो स्ट्रांग होने से वो किसी भी एज में आप इन चीजों का फायदा हर जगह पे ले सकते हो।
बिल्कुल, जैसे कि आजकल एक नया साइंस का एक परसेप्शन, एक एंगल आया है जिसको कहते हैं एपिजेनेटिक्स। यानी यहाँ तक आ गया है कि आप अपने जेनेटिक स्ट्रक्चर को इम्प्रूव कर सकते हैं बाय एनवायरमेंटल फोर्सेस, और उसका विपरीत है कि आप अपने जेनेटिक स्ट्रक्चर को खराब कर सकते हैं बाय एनवायरमेंटल इन्फ्लुएंसेस, जिसके अंदर आपका ब्रेथ, आपकी न्यूट्रिशन, आपके सोच विचार, आपके लाइफस्टाइल, वो सारे जुड़े हुए हैं। यानी कि एपिजेनेटिक्स क्लियरली कह रहा है कि द एनवायरमेंट कैन हैव इम्पैक्ट ऑन योर जेनेटिक स्ट्रक्चर। तो आई थिंक यहाँ पे आपका जो आप कह रहे हैं ब्रीदिंग और योग, अगर उससे हम जुड़ जाएं तो अपनी बीमारियों को और बहुत सी चीजों को ठीक कर सकते हैं, अगर हम सही, आई थिंक आप जो कह रहे हैं कि प्रैक्टिस करना है, इट हैज। तो थोड़ा सा अगर आप और बताएंगे कि अ, कुछ जैसे केस स्टडीज आपने बताई, अगर एक दो और केस स्टडी आप बताएं कि कौन कौन सी बीमारियों में इम्प्रूवमेंट देखा है। जैसे कब आपने बताया कि एक इनिशियल स्टेज पे एक लंप था, सिस्ट था, और भी
मुझे बचपन से एक्जिमा भी था। मैंने अपना एक्जिमा मैं प्राणायाम तो शुरू से करता था लेकिन मैं परहेज नहीं करता था। लेकिन मैंने देखा कि जब मैंने 4-5 क्लासेस में खूब ज्यादा ऑक्सीजनेशन बढ़ा दिया, खूब ज्यादा ब्रीदिंग को बढ़ा दिया, क्योंकि क्या होता है ना, मैं भी ग्रो कर रहा था ब्रीदिंग और प्राणायाम के साथ, मैं भी ग्रो कर रहा था और सारी चीजें मैंने एक्सपीरियंस की हैं। अभी जो भी है और एक्सपर्ट्स हैं वो जानते हैं, लेकिन यहाँ पे मैंने उन चीजों को अपने अंदर एक्सपीरियंस किया और मैंने देखा कि मैंने क्या किया तो वो एकदम फास्ट मेरे शरीर से चला गया। मैंने 2-2 ग्लास मौसमी के जूस पिए और 1 महीने के अंदर मेरा एक्जिमा रिवर्स हो गया। तो मुझे अब स्किन का भी पता है। किसी ने आंखों के लिए पूछा था तो मैंने प्राणायाम बताया। और तो होता है ना, जैसे गांधी जी का एग्जाम्पल देते हैं कि उनके पास गुड़ गुड़ लेने किसी माता आई जो बोल रही थी कि गुड़ ये मीठा बहुत खाता है, इसका मीठा। गांधी जी ने बोला या फिर कोई महापुरुष ने बोला कि 15 दिन बाद आना, क्योंकि वो खुद खाते थे। तो मैंने एक्सपीरियंस किया, अगर मैं बोल देता हूं तो वो चीज बहुत फास्ट हो जाती है। चीज जिसने एक्सपीरियंस नहीं किया वो बोलते हैं तो वहां पे गड़बड़ हो जाती है। तो ये हम यूनिवर्सली सारी कॉन्शियसनेस कनेक्टेड है, और जितना ज्यादा इन आध्यात्मिक शक्तियों को जो बढ़ाता चला जाएगा, ऐसे ऐसे महापुरुष दिल्ली एनसीआर में हुए हैं, गुरुजी हर गाड़ी के पीछे लिखे होते हैं, उस लेवल की प्रैक्टिस, उस लेवल के डायरेक्शन में मैं अपने आप को बढ़ा रहा हूँ कि योग दर्शन में तो 49 प्रकार की सिद्धियों का वर्णन है। तो इसलिए मैं मुझे मदद कर रही है मेरी स्पिरिचुअल प्रैक्टिसेस कि मैंने चूज किया कि भाई जीरो पोल्यूशन एनवायरनमेंट में रहना है। तो अभी मैं इतने अच्छे वातावरण में रह रहा हूँ, ये सामने देखो कितनी हरियाली है और ये पूरा चारों तरफ जीरो पोल्यूशन है ना। तो क्योंकि मुझे हायर लेवल की एनर्जीज में जाना है, इसलिए फिर ये तो प्रॉब्लम्स में हेल्प करना, लोगों की डिस्टरबेंस, इधर उधर फैमिली में लोग डिस्टर्ब्ड है इधर उधर की चीजों में, मैंने ये देखा है कि हर कोई इधर उधर के संसार के इम्पैक्ट इंफॉर्मेशन से इम्पैक्ट होके अपना डिसीजन ले रहा है। लेकिन उन सब के ऊपर एक बहुत बड़ी बात है कि कलेक्ट पावरफुल तरीके से अगर हम बोल देंगे कि कल को हमें ऐसा अपनी लाइफ और अपनों की लाइफ ऐसी डिजाइन करनी है, दैट इज पॉसिबल। दैट इज पॉसिबल कि किसी में लड़ाइयाँ चल रही हैं, किसी ने किसी को कुछ कह दिया, तो अब तो हम उस चीज को हम डिलीट ही नहीं कर पाएंगे। जैसे ही वो ब्रीदिंग और वो सब स्टार्ट होता है, तो केवल ये थॉट कि हम कल को एक दूसरे के लिए बेहतर बना सकते हैं, ये चीज हो सकती है, ये होती है। कितनी भी प्रॉब्लम हो, कितनी भी अभी से ज्यादा 1000 गुना ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम भी हो जाए ना, तब भी अगर इंसान अपनी एनर्जी को ज्यादा बढ़ा ले, अगर हम योग प्राणायाम की योग की शक्ति से बढ़ा लें, तो अगले दिन को अपना और अपने आसपास के एनवायरनमेंट का एक सकारात्मक, एक आशावादी बना सकते हैं। ये थॉट तब आ रहे हैं मुझे जब मैं उस चीज को अनुभव कर रहा हूँ। स्ट्रेस और जितना भी जीवन में एक्सपीरियंस लिया होता है, जो दर्द वाला है, वो सबको डिलीट हो जाने चाहिए। और योगश चित्तवृत्ति निरोधा जो परिभाषा है, मन के विचारों की रुकी हुई व्यवस्था को योग कहते हैं। तो मन के विचार, जो ये प्राणायाम की प्रैक्टिस है, धीरे 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 करके ये स्लो डाउन हो जाते हैं। अलग अलग प्रैक्टिसेस में जितना ज्यादा हम समय देते हैं, उतना ज्यादा योग की तरफ जाते हैं। तो ये योग, बहुत सारे क्वेश्चन कल भी पूछे गए थे कि किसी ने पूछा था कि योग और जिम और ये वो है ना, ऐसा ऐसा करके हम स्ट्रेंथ ट्रेनिंग करें, योग करें। तो हमें यही समझना है कि जहाँ पे भी हम अपने मन को स्लो डाउन कर पा रहे हैं, मन को मन को जीरो थॉट की तरफ ले जा पा रहे हैं, तो हमने योग किया, वरना नहीं किया। चाहे उसमें हम एक्सरसाइज करके, रनिंग करके हम अपने आप को, मन को एकाग्र कर पा रहे हैं, या हम डीप स्टडी को करके हम कर पा रहे हैं स्टडी। तो हम 5 वृत्तियां होती हैं, 5 भूमियां होती हैं मन की, तो हम धीरे धीरे जैसे करके हम अपने आप को एकाग्र करके फिर धीरे धीरे जीरो थॉट की तरफ जाते हैं, तब जाके योग की स्थिति बनती है। अभी हमने एक चीज करी, उसको योग कह दिया, दैट इज गुड, ठीक है, लेकिन जब तक पूरी फिलोसफिकल विजडम नहीं होगी, तब तक हम हायर लेवल पे नहीं पहुंच पाएंगे। नहीं तो हर कोई मजाक भी बना सकता है, अरे ये योग है, ऐसे होते हैं योगी, ये होता है। तो कोई बात नहीं, हमें उन चीजों पे नहीं अटकना। हमें ये समझना है कि 0 से लेकर 100% स्टेप्स हैं। कोई 0 पे है, कोई 10% पे, कोई 50% पे है। तो हमें बाहर के लोगों पे नहीं आंकना, हमें अपने लेवल पे देखना है कि हम कहाँ तक डेवलप्ड है और हमने कहाँ तक सीखा है और हम क्या चाहते हैं,
Bilkul.
बस।
And Kanika, if there are any questions, I think we can take all the questions for all the panelists side by side. Kanika?
Sure, ma'am, sure. So this question is by Miss Myra Witch. She's asking that are there any herbs or detox waters to calm down stress?
Dr. Reena, Dr. Alkamohan, may I request you, in case you'd like to take this question, Dr. Reena? Dr. Alkamohan.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So yes, the detox water, as we have also mentioned, that anything which is alkaline in nature is going to help you in detoxification. So like if you want to take a detox water, what you can do, you can take a water, like at least the 1 liter of water, and you can put certain spices into that. For example, you can add on little bit of lemon, ginger, mint, and a little bit of mint leaves into it. And you can keep this water overnight, and next day you can have this water. So this is the alkaline water, which is good for your skin, and it is good for the detoxification as well.
And ma'am, anything for calming down stress? She has particularly asked.
Yeah,
Any
for
herbal
that,
water?
I think Mr. Yogacharya Manish has also just mentioned that breathing is the best way to take out the stress. I think that is the best thing that can be done to manage your stress levels.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And the next question is by Afan. They're asking that how to contact Yogacharya Manish for pranayam. So, Afan, we will be providing you the details for Yogacharya Manish. And the next question is by a username Himmat. They're asking that with extra energy through yoga, how does that help with fearful mindset? कि अगर आपके अंदर एक्स्ट्रा एनर्जी आती है योगा से, तो उससे आप अपना डर कैसे दूर कर सकते हैं?
एक्सपीरियंस करो, हो जाएगा। उसको एक्सपीरियंस करो, फिर हो जाएगा। जैसे बोले ना कि ये क्वेश्चन वो है कि कैसे बहुत तेज भूख लगी है और खाना खा के कैसे भूख मिट सकती है, ये क्वेश्चन वो है, और इसका आंसर भी वो है कि खाना खाओ और भूख मिटाओ।
Thank
ठीक
you
है
so
वो
much, sir.
जी।
Yeah, next question, Kanika.
Ma'am, there are no more questions as because there was one question by Afan about if a patient is BRCA positive, how to counsel for prophylactic surgery or put on lifestyle modifications. So Dr. Ravi Gaur has answered this question very well, and it's in the chat box. Shall I read it for everyone?
Yes, please do.
So Dr. Ravi has answered this that BRCA positive does not mean you will definitely get cancer. It means that there is a higher risk for that. But surgery isn't the right step. You should focus on regular checkups, early detection, a healthy lifestyle, close monitoring like early MRIs, mammograms, blood tests to catch any changes early. Work on diet, exercise, and stress management to support your overall wellness. Walk this journey step by step with the best care and support, adopting a healthy lifestyle that can play a very powerful role. And try to focus on a balanced plant rich diet with plenty of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins. Maintain a healthy weight, engage in regular physical activity at least 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, and avoid smoking and limit alcohol intake. Prioritize stress management through mindfulness, meditation, or yoga, and ensure good quality sleep. And these habits don't replace medical care but help to prevent and early detection. And stay consistent with regular screenings and checkups. Early detection and preventive care are the strongest allies. And best wishes from Dr. Ravi Gaur.
Yes.
That was a wonderful answer, actually.
Yes. So I think there are no more questions. I'd like to thank all the panelists. It was really a learning session for me also, because normally, as professionals, we only stick to one perspective of our field, and but this was a very unique experience for me to learn from so many experts together, who all I'm so grateful came together to help us put this conclave together. And for all the audience who are watching, ये हमारी कॉन्क्लेव्स रेगुलरली रहेंगी, जिसमें हम आपको बेस्ट से बेस्ट जो आप एक्सपर्ट्स हैं उनसे आपको मिलवाएंगे, उनके व्यूज आपके सामने रखेंगे, सो दैट यू कैन चेंज योर लाइफ थ्रू नॉलेज, थ्रू इंफॉर्मेशन. एंड जैसे कि डॉक्टर अलका मोहन ने बोला कि अगर हम कुछ भी चीजें इनमें से फॉलो करना शुरू कर दें, even 10%, we can move towards a healthier lifestyle. And I will also make a special request to आचार्य मनीष जी कि जब भी उनके पास समय होगा तो हम सबके लिए एक सेशन, एक वर्कशॉप करेंगे, जिसमें आप सब फिजिकली उसको पार्टिसिपेट करके एक्सपीरियंस कीजिए, जैसे मैंने लास्ट 3 महीनों से मैं एक्सपीरियंस कर रही हूँ. कि क्योंकि योग और ये एक फिजिकल एक्टिविटी है, ये एक ब्रेथ एक्टिविटी है, ये एक माइंड एक्टिविटी है. तो वो जब आप एक्सपीरियंस करते हैं तभी वो पता चलता है कि हो क्या रहा है, शरीर में क्या हो रहा है, दिमाग में क्या हो रहा है. तो इट्स अ वेरी एक्सपीरियंशियल थिंग. तो उसके लिए हम जरूर एक वर्कशॉप सबके लिए रखेंगे. एंड विद दैट I'd like to thank all my panelists once again, Dr. Reena, Dr. Alka Mohan, Acharya Manish ji, for giving your precious time. And I hope इसके साथ we can progress and make everybody healthy. Thank you so much. नमस्कार.
थैंक यू, नमस्ते, नमस्ते सभी को.
Thank you.